Okay, hello everybody. How's everybody doing today? Not
Got design anxiety. You can't do this live. Come on.
whatever. It'll be the same as always. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Today, this is going to be the first of our design streams. So if you were a Kickstarter backer at the 75 tier or more, you'll have access to all of these, but this one we're just doing for free for funsies, so you can get an idea of what to expect. In these meetings, we go over ideas for enemies and objects that will eventually go in the game. So if you're in our Discord, you can check it out and throw ideas your way, and we'll look at them and comment on them and stuff. Or if you're just along for the ride and you want to be a fly on the wall, that's totally cool too. So,
Love flies, especially in this game.
of course. Why don't we just go around the room and introduce ourselves? Yeah. My name's Alec. I'm a designer here at the Yacht Club, and I'm running this meeting. And Bridget, you're next.
I'm Bridget. I'm a gameplay programmer, and I'm after Alec and next to Celia.
Hi, I'm Celia. I handle marketing. I'm going to be in the background answering questions in our Discord, so you guys are more than welcome to join if you want to share ideas. I'll be posting that in chat, and yeah, I'll be hanging out.
I'm David, I'm a programmer.
I'm Jasper, I'm also an programmer.
I'm Morgan, I have social anxiety.
That's your contribution to Mina.
And you're an illustrator.
Illustration and concept.
I'm Sandy. I'm doing pixel sprites on Mina.
And I'm Sean, and I'm a designer, and yeah, that's me.
And I'm Shannon. I do operations and production at Yacht Club.
You're off the screen, Shannon.
Yeah, I set it
Yeah,
up badly.
You can see the top of your Agretzko's head.
Oh man.
You can't even see Waz.
I'm here too. Oh my god.
Oh, Waz is here too?
I'm sorry, Waz. You cut off. I'll set it up better next time.
I joined late. Yeah, my name is Waz. I do pixel art, but not on Mina. I'm just here to
What do you do pixel art on?
yell at chat. Right now, nothing at Yacht Club.
Wait, what?
You're doing lots at Yacht Club, just maybe not pixel art right now.
No, I'm not doing pixel art at Yacht Club.
Yeah.
You're teaching classes.
How mysterious.
Oh yeah, I'm teaching classes. I have a stream. I finished tuning last night.
Whoa.
on Yacht
Oh,
Club stream.
awesome.
Waz is a famous Twitch streamer, and
you
he's
say-
just hanging out with us.
These are resident influencers.
I finished enough that I'm not gonna open it again. But I got all the pages, so that's a huge thing.
Ooh, all the pages. You did the mega door.
I have 4 of the trophies.
Nice.
Anyway,
Good job.
back to the game.
Anyways, let's kick off this meeting, yeah. I suppose we should go through what this area is. We haven't really detailed it yet, so this is a bit
Gross.
of a sneak peek.
Look at those nasty references.
I can't believe you're just streaming like U-Track.
I mean,
I know, right?
And I mean, it's like this is
Terrifying.
really this is like setting off my fear in a very real way.
I've very carefully chosen what tabs are going to be opened and which I am not going to open.
No, I know it's fine. It's just it's cool. We don't often share this type of thing.
Yeah. So, if you saw our trailer, you may have seen an area that looked something like this. You know, a lot of people comment stuff like, oh, the game looks like so done, right? It's like nearly there. Oh my gosh. But the movie magic here is that here's what we got of this area so far. We got this screen with some generic enemies, and we've got one interior space.
Hey,
And
so-
and that's it. So we gotta make
so
all
what
the
is
other
that?
stuff.
Could you explain what is happening right now? Your character is like moving around, and it looks like you're jumping, and there were a bunch of boxes on the screen.
Yes, of course. This is a debug build of the game that we use internally, much like the one that we had for Shovel Knight. It allows us to apply all sorts of cheat codes willy-nilly just to make making the game an easier experience. Sometimes I will activate a fly cheat mode where I can just move my character like a mouse cursor. just so I don't have to walk to wherever I need to be, right? Sometimes I'll open up a dev menu and type in commands that just make whatever I need to happen. Look at this, set gold 9 zillion. Oh my gosh, I'm rich. So as we play the game, you might notice a lot of weirdness or like flying around. Look, I can even type kill all and everybody will die. Wait, is it one command? Boom.
It's one word.
So that's what's happening there. But yeah, as far as the Bone Beach goes, that's the area we're focusing on right now. And this is pretty much all we got. A mock-up for an exterior area. As you can see, it's beachy. There's some water indicating the coastline. And we have these like big ribs that you could like burrow underneath. And then the idea for this level is that you're going to go inside a giant monster, something like a big whale, like a Jabu Jabu's belly. We're playing with like that element of the fantasy here of going
a whale but not a whale.
A whale but not a whale. Going inside of something and like going outside of something, talking to like a big giant creature and like getting inside their stomach or whatever. And then at the end of the level, you will fight a boss that's going to be like inside of them, right? Like maybe you fight their brain, or like maybe the boss is like their heart and it's got like a bunch of gross tumors and cysts on it. And you got to destroy it and kill the thing from the inside. What's up?
Why would there be gross tumors and cysts and stuff in this area?
That's because...
Why would you be able to go inside the creature?
Why would you be able to go inside of them? That's
we need to like. Can you talk a little bit about the thematic context of this area and like why you're seeing the things you're seeing?
Yeah.
Maybe you could also show the other areas. Also, like the idea of this game is that there's all these themed areas. And this is just one of the themes.
Yeah, we're approaching it like a little like an anthology of sorts, where there's like, similar to kind of how Zelda or Dark Souls handles things, there's like an overarching story, but you get to see the effects of that propagated through lots of smaller areas in different ways. So we have like the crypt that you saw in the demo, where you were going deep underground and all of these skeletons and zombies and stuff that were thought to be dead are being resurrected against their will by some mysterious force at play. And so similarly, in the Bone Beach, what we need to be thinking of is like what types of arcane eldritch magic is like affecting the people here and how is it doing that. And what we've kind of been thinking about so far, you can see in this like concept bug over here, is that the way that that would be happening is there's some kind of large monster being affected by the stuff in this world, and they are decomposing or dying in here, and it's creating a ruinous and dangerous environment for everybody else. So, if we look at all this stuff, we know that we want this to kind of feel like a Skull Woods from like Link to the Past. This should be like an area where you're like going up and down like into the dungeon and like out of the dungeon at regular intervals. It'd be cool if like the tile set changes could feel like a big context shift, like, oh, I'm like inside this like gross creature. Remember this from Gears of War 2, going inside that big worm? That kind of stuff is like what we're looking to be playing with in this kind of area. And in addition to this, Morgan's actually drawn some concepts yesterday for like what this cool giant monster could be. Let me pull some of those up. Here's one.
So like in the crypt, the structure of the game is a little bit different than like this Skull Woods would be, is like a little bit different than the Bayou would be.
Right. We want to make sure that there's like an overarching feel to all of these levels, but still a specific like design intention with the types of gameplay and the type of structure that you're going to be finding in each individual level.
Hey Alec, if you check your Slack, there's an image with all of them on there.
Oh, even better.
We're also trying to be intentional with how kind of absurd and horrific our designs get as you progress through the game. So Bone Beach is more or less a late game area, or later game area at least. And so even more so than the crypt or the bayou area, which you'll probably encounter earlier in the game, things you'll find here will be like even more gross and more, corrupted or diseased. So we're trying to kind of push that a little bit here.
Yeah, we're trying to like make sure that all these levels have a little bit of openness to the order that you can tackle them in. Our goal with all of this stuff is not to like lock you out of going to the third level arbitrarily by like forcing you to go get a key, but rather gating it with just like the difficulty of the enemies. Try to get some of that Zelda 1 feel in there where you can kind of like explore how you want and take the battles that you want to take. Maybe do something a little bit too dangerous early if you're a hot dog and you're real good at the game. So this would be, I'd say, probably like halfway through the game. It's like not quite some of the hardest areas, but you're out of the beginner stuff by the time you get here.
The Explodatorium in Shovel Knight. The tier 2.
Yeah, Explodatorium, Lost City,
you
Iron Rail difficulty.
About how to play the game.
Yeah. Another thing to consider with this is that despite being a beach, we already have a level. I'll show a little bit of it real quick, where you're going through like a watery area. We already have a zone. Whoops, let me turn that on. Where you're gonna be like doing a lot of like diving in and out of the water. We like already have an area scheduled. Where that's like the focus of the gameplay. So despite having water, we want to try and avoid leaning too much into only that type of gameplay. So avoiding water stuff, despite being a beach, is one of the objectives. And yeah, any other big considerations to mention before we just start diving into all of this? Usually, the way that this goes is we already know ahead of time, like, how many enemies we need, how many gameplay objects we need. An enemy being, like, anything from a tiny slime to, like, a big, imposing guy that might take, upwards of 5 to 10 hits to kill. An gameplay object being something in the world that you interact with in a fun way. Think like a spring that bounces you, or some kind of like new tile type on the ground, like a conveyor belt. With this game and with Shovel Knight, we've kind of settled on there being 5 new enemies and 5 new objects, and a litany of other like smaller considerations for each zone, just to make sure that as you progress through the game, there's plenty of interesting stuff and you don't get bored. So we got 5 slots to fill for here for enemies, we got 5 for objects, and ahead of this meeting, everyone has written down a bunch of ideas. So we're just gonna probably be going through all of these, talking about them, saying what we like, saying what we don't like, and also looking at chat, and yeah, just trying to figure out what would be cool for all this. So, what do you guys think? Ready to go?
Sure, that breakdown of design, could we get that posted in the Discord chat so we can actually see it without compression?
Like all this stuff, the bug?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll paste some stuff in the Discord real quick.
I assume all of it.
Maybe someone else could copy it and
Yeah, I'd be happy to
grab it also.
Here's some,
Cool.
Here's some stuff.
Okay.
Oh, I was talking about the thing that's in the lower right of your screen.
Oh, all these. Yeah, I'll throw them in there.
Do we feel like we have enough context for knowing what enemies and objects are? Should we look at some of them, like from Crypt or something?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Show how they go from like just a little spreadsheet to implementation.
Sure, that's a great idea. So we can see here's a level that we've like already gone through this process on, right? Going into the crypt here, here's like the first enemy that we see, which is this like legless pariah. But before he was made, he was an idea in a production doc just like this one, and then he gets written up in the game design document. So basically after this meeting, we go and we make mock-ups and we write up, okay, exactly what the enemy should be, how they should work. So here's that exact same enemy. If we zoom in a lot here, you can see the legs sitting there, and you can see the top half of him crawling around in my crappy mock-up. And then, voila, that turns into an enemy after we write all this up and then make an asset list of what all the animations should be. And there he is. And the same thing goes for all of these guys. And if we look over here in the GDD, you can see, like, over here on the left, it's like crypt enemies, right? And it's like, number 1, we had Bonehead. Here he is. Whoa. The next one we came up with was this loot skeleton that hops around.
A lot of these things are also used in multiple levels, right? Like, we will build some of this stuff, like Loot Skeleton, and use him all over the game.
Right.
Typically, we call that a generic enemy or object.
Yeah, we'll have, like, a big generic pool that we can pull from.
Totally. And just, yeah, going through that list, here's, like, the statue heads that you throw and the ghost that follows you. If you pledge to get the GDD, then what you're going to get is something that looks a lot like this. And then
except way more cool, right?
Except less typos. Sloot monster / dumb worm. That is this enemy that goes into the ground.
And usually all these were created for like some kind of need, right? The reason that this tall dead man exists is because we wanted to have someone that was tall that you had to jump and hit the top of him, right? So it's a character that has a top half and a bottom half. We were thinking that this would help you understand the jumping and the heights of this gameplay.
Right.
So that's like why he exists. The Sloot monster is the character that goes underneath the sand and comes up at you because we wanted someone that would burrow underneath you and force you to move or something. Usually there's some kind of gameplay reason that we have these enemies, and we'll also want them to all work in concert with one another, right? Like if we say, oh, there's going to be a really fast enemy, then we usually won't greenlight another really fast enemy in the same batch because it would be redundant.
Yep. Yeah, there's always a big consideration on, first off, like, what types of gameplay do we need to, like, see in this game that we're not really quite seeing yet, and then it becomes more like, how do we craft the set of ideas into a set that would really work well together, and those are the main things to be thinking about. So, let's jump right in! Who wants to start going through ideas? Say me.
Do it.
All right.
Do it.
Say you.
Number 1, row 32. Bone miners making holes in a big creature. No description. Who wrote this? Seems like just a thematic idea of it would be cool to have miners that are here on the bone beach, like trying to excavate all the valuable bones from a large creature. That sounds cool.
Yeah, okay. Well, something about the bone miners is, yeah, if it's like a gold rush, you could have guys with pickaxes, you could have guys mining nuggets, like that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Bones are the currency of this game.
Panning for gold, right? Bones are the currency, and this is a place that would have a lot of bones, or like a lot of bone stone. It's a bunch of calcified, valuable stuff, but it's too dangerous for people to go here. But they're still miners trying to take advantage of the situation.
Could it be like
is this like an enemy that's making pits? What does that mean?
It could be representing an enemy type that are like, crazed miners that attack you if you get too close to their like bone stash, but it could also just be an NPC archetype that you find around here. Okay. Seems like it could be either.
I could see this being like a slightly complex enemy, like if we want something to fill that, like that archetype of like a humanoid thing that is chasing you with a weapon, then that might be a way to theme it.
This might be a little bit early to ask this, but is the idea that like there's just some individual bone miners, or there's like a specialized operation with like mine carts and tracks sort of all strung across the inside of this beast?
Whoa.
Like, should it be a single thing, or should it be like an infrastructure where they've kind of turned this corpse into like a thing with like multiple levels and elevators and like trail. You know what I mean?
Right. Like how long into the mining process?
Right.
Like, did they just get there, or has it been like a whole excavation
mining
endeavor?
And this beast is still alive, right? They're like mining out his living.
Yeah.
There could even be like
that's horrible. I love it.
There could be like a mining mob boss that's like actually overseeing all this, and you got to talk to him before you can get through a certain area.
And when you fight him, all his exploited workers come up and help you out in the battle.
Exploited workers. I guess another thing I don't think of is I don't really associate beaches with mines, or vice versa. But is there a reason why there's miners?
I associate beaches with miners. Think about all those people panning for gold on the beach with those metal detectors and stuff. Going on the beach for treasure is like totally a thing.
It doesn't happen on the beach though, and those are panhandlers. Those aren't miners. They're not.
I mean, I think it makes sense if you think about there was just this one giant creature that showed up someday and people realized they could, mine it for profit. Like, it's not necessarily that there's a thematic tie, it's just like, because bones are their money, and this giant thing with a lot of bones shows up, that is suddenly where your bone rush is.
Right.
It's just like near the beach. It's like San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Washed up on the beach, right? It's like a big monster that washed up on the beach, like a whale graveyard type thing. So, since it washed up there, then people are going out there to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So where's the danger coming from? I imagine the danger is both from the other miners and people, like the opportunists that are there trying to get bones, and from the fact that this monster is like diseased. So it's probably riddled with parasites or weird worms that are like prone to eating you if you stick around too long.
I think the bacteria is there, and I think just like in the world of the game, people are probably going to talk like they're afraid of the enemies that are actually there. It would probably make sense to have some like Tremors-esque things that are like going in and out of the sand, not only because that's like fertile ground for exploration for a setting like this, but also just because we should probably have more like burrowing enemies in general, because this is like a game about burrowing. So I think people are like afraid of the monsters that are like lurking in the sands, and people are also afraid of like getting too close to like the giant monster.
Could the monster also still kind of be alive and very dangerous? Like,
it should totally be alive.
It still has like muscles, like a tonsil or something, or like tentacles. Not tentacles. I don't want to do tentacles.
I think it should
like Banjo-Kazooie has like those like weird tree roots that
nerve endings.
Nerve endings. Yeah.
Wiggly bits
that like smack you. A not tentacle.
I think it should totally be alive. It should like be in pain, and it should be unable to. It should be unable to move, and it is dying slowly, and you are there to put it out of its misery.
It should like ask you to put it out of its misery. It should be like, Mina, like I've been trying to die for 50 to 100 years.
Please kill me.
50 to 100 years.
I don't like that.
These miners are so slow.
Time is a construct.
It could also be that it's like, Mina, save me. Mina, save me. I know you can save me. You can save me, but then like in the end, like he dies and you don't actually save him.
Or wait, is killing him saving him?
Well, it's like you could turn me back to my normal size, or like I could like turn back to normal, but then it becomes clear that he's like not going to turn back to normal, and then
like he's in denial.
Right. Or it's like as the player, you're like thinking that you might be able to help him, but then it becomes clear as you're doing it that it's like he's not going to live.
Or the thing that you think will help him is actually going to kill him in the end, right? Like you get to this final thing and you think that like ripping this random heart out of this, this random infection out would save it, but it actually just makes it die. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that after you do that, also, it's revealed that he knew that the whole time, right? It's like, well, you did save me in a way. Thank you. And you're like, oh man.
In a way.
His phrasing could be vague, so you could be like, release me, but you don't know what exactly you're releasing him from.
Right.
Right, it could be implied that you're like releasing him from this blight by just like killing parasites in him, but really you're releasing him from life, and that's what he wanted.
Killing his nervous system.
There's like a little bit of a happy ending because I feel so sad for this.
Bittersweet.
I feel like that would be the problem with like saving it, right? In a game that's supposed to be horrific, what should happen should not be like emotionally satisfying. It should be more horrifying. So I think that like saving the creature like that is not be a good fit.
I think
gotta be a little tragic.
You could save the creature, but it could have other externalities, right? Like all of the miners or whatever are like dead, right? You go back in there and like no music plays, right? And it's like this. It's more dangerous now or something like that.
All the miners are starving. Our source of income is gone. We're dying.
Yeah.
We're starving. Thanks for nothing, Mina. Right. Something like that. Yes.
I think there's a way of saving the creature and still having it feel not like a satisfying thing, and more like, oh, I guess I did a good thing. Maybe? Who knows?
What they did with the Deku tree is you do kill the monster inside, and then it's like, that was too much, and now it is time for me to pass. And then the silver lining is that a new tree is planted, like, down the hall in the room to the right. So I think there's ways to navigate this.
Yeah, you could, like, come back after you complete this quest or whatever, and you leave, and then you come back to Bone Beach at a later date. There's, like, a little... like an egg or something left behind.
It was pregnant. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
the true horror.
That's some real alien stuff.
Then you fight the baby.
Then you kill the baby too.
Hit him up.
It really is a horror game.
It's like Bloodborne.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Like Bloodborne. We're doing more enemies?
Yeah, why don't we move on from bone miners? That sounds fun thematically. Not sure if this is like an NPC or an enemy yet, but let's keep on.
We're talking about actual game ideas that we would green would be things that we're like 100% sure about.
Right.
Yellow would be something that we're wondering about, and red is like we're definitely not going to do it.
Right.
You can use the status column. You don't have to color it manually.
Oh. Wait, so that would be a... that's
None of these say maybe.
Oh, no.
Right, that's the production status.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah, we can just use the same system we've used forever.
Okay. Next up, find/fight 5 fleshy obstructions. Find them all to put the giant monster out of its misery. The last one turns around, has a face/hands, and spits acid at you. Boss?
But did you write this?
I did not.
I think I wrote this one, but we kind of talked about that. It's like if when you're in the monster and it asks you to help him out in some way, you're like looking for specific things to accomplish. Like you got a checklist to find, and maybe not like a literal checklist, but you're like trying to find these 4 or 5 obstructions.
We should try to keep this focused on enemies and objects. So how is this an enemy or object?
Boom.
Well,
get it out here.
What? Wait, what? It is.
Well, like if it's an object that's like I hit 5 things and a door opens, then it's an object. What's listed here right now is like I don't have no idea what it is in terms of an enemy and object.
So the idea is that it would lead you to the final boss, and in order to access the final boss, you're interacting with these 5 objects that are like similar maybe to the boss in context, but like the boss is just a souped up version of it.
I think that I don't have enough information yet to know if like the structure of this level would support going and finding 5 things.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just don't know what that one yet.
If is the obstruction an enemy? Is that what you're saying, Sandy?
It's like it could just be a damage sponge, so it could be at the end of a room and you need to kill it to progress, but that room is full of enemies, so you're like trying to get its health down to 0 while contending with the enemies in the room.
Got it.
Okay, let's just go to the next one. Quicksand. New type of death pit. What does that mean? One of them has secret inside, get sucked in, find a hidden area.
Okay, so this would be like a hole.
Uh-huh.
And when you fall in it, you take damage, and then you respawn at the end of the screen or whatever? So it's the same thing as a pit?
Yeah.
Quicksand makes me... It's the way it sounds makes me think you'd have to stand there for a second for it to, like, actually get you, so you'd have to, like, pay attention. Because that's the whole point, is quicksand kind of takes you...
That sounds like slow sand. Not quicksand.
but
Right. All it says. All
that's
it
what
says
quicksand is.
type-
It's slow.
Right.
Okay.
Quicksand is slow.
I was
Okay,
thinking
so-
of it like using the conveyor object that we have, and it's basically putting a bunch of reverse conveyors in a circular pattern, so you're getting sucked into the center, and
Right.
you might not take damage until you get to the center, but if you're in a screen where you're fighting enemies, then you might not have a chance to like burrow out or jump out in time.
You mean like an ant
So this is just an art. This is just an art change, is what you're saying. Like all because this is just a pit. It's a one tile thing that's in the middle of where 4 conveyors are all pushing towards one direction. And if you get to the middle, then you fall and take damage and respawn at the edge of the screen. So therefore, it is a death pit, and there's no difference.
To be fair, it's eight tiles, right?
What?
Because
Right,
if
it
the
could
hole
just
is in
be
the
a-
middle and the 8 tiles that surround it. It's the antlion pit from Link to the Past that.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
You could have 8.
Yes,
you
yeah.
could have 8 tiles surrounding it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, is it like
Okay.
these things?
Is there any custom
Why is this
behavior programming, or is it just an art thing?
I mean, if it looks like the antlion pit, then there's no death pit in the middle, so it might need something custom. But if we just put like a 1-tile pit in the center, then yeah,
Oh,
wait.
it's just art.
Oh wait a minute! Isn't this just identical to what's already here
What?
in Zelda?
We're talking
Like,
about
isn't that
this,
how-
right?
Do you fall down this pit when you go in the middle?
Yeah, you fall into a different room.
When you go into these?
Yes.
Oh well, that's exactly what we're talking about then, with no
Okay.
difference.
Yeah.
We already have the conveyor part. We just don't have a tile that can be associated with getting sucked down, right?
Yeah, it seems like since we're going from high to low a lot, being able to use a fall down like a door like this would be good.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think more value out of just like using the existing. Oh, there he goes. He finally does it. I feel like we could just use the like burrow tiles we already have to greater effect in this area, since those aren't like really popping up much at all in the game. I don't know if we need like new art or a conveyor.
Well, this is like a thing that's forcing you to go down it, right?
I mean,
That's different than a choice.
it wouldn't really force you, right? Unless that conveyor speed was crazy high.
Well, that's the intention of it, so, is to try to get you to fall down there accidentally.
Yeah. In practice,
This is just like repurposing functionality we have
Right.
with a
So
new
I-
piece of art. We
Yes,
should definitely
we
do
should-
it.
We should do all of this. Let's move on. Let's go.
You guys think we should have something like that?
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, you'll just be able to fall down into the bottom thing. That's like what this. That's what this is going to be. You're going to be trying to figure out where the top of the creature is compared to the bottom, and like find a pit, fall down into there, and be like, "Oh, look, now I'm down in the bottom where I need to be." It'll be like a little puzzle. Won't that be cool?
I don't know. In this example right here, it's an exercise of extreme frustration as you go down all 12 pits and 11 of them go to the same spot and you just go back up and retry. So how is it not that?
Well,
Well, it can be used as a death pit too, so it's just a thing that's like trying to get you to stay out of a conveyor area. So it's like making use of conveyors. It can be used for secrets in a fun way. It could be used, to like punish you when you're in an area to fall down. I don't know. There's lots of ways to use it. Just because it sucks there doesn't mean it's gonna suck here.
It always
I felt
sucks.
it-
It's quicksand.
I also think it's not something that I don't think it's like an existing object, or like we can do this using our existing tools.
Right. This right.
That's
This
what I said.
doesn't-
It's just
yeah.
new art. That's
Yeah.
easy.
I think we can easily, like Alec or Sean could try this out using our existing tools with shitty art or existing art, and then we can see if it's fun. If it is, we'll greenlight it. But it doesn't. I don't think it needs to go through the full process.
Okay. I'll be thinking about ways that this could be fun and useful. But yeah, I suppose since we already have moving sand that acts as a conveyor belt and death pits and everything, this would make sense to try out.
Yeah, reason with the trial and error part.
Right. Okay, next up. Enemies/NPC who stalks you, hides behind collision or in sand, waiting for you to turn your back and steal your bones. Run up and attack while it's hiding to prevent it catching you. We have a hub NPC that's like this now. If you turn to face it, it stops and sinks into the sand, sort of like a Mario Boo. So like a creepy enemy, a a situational enemy.
Someone that comes up from the floor, and they're in the sand before.
So like the thing
Sand
that we have in the
bandits.
crypt, the little worm guys.
Yeah, but
The
I
worm
think
guy, but he runs
smarter.
at you or something.
Right, and he doesn't go back down.
worm guy, but with a brain.
When you turn toward him, he goes back down.
Sure.
So how do you even kill him then?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Maybe
Oh,
you
this
see like a
might
little
let him-
lump in the
Or,
sand.
or if he's in the middle of his attack, then
Right.
you hit him.
He takes a second or two to actually pop back down, so you have to goad him a little bit.
Would
pop him
Hollowing
back
be
out
able
with
to clone
burrowing.
him?
Yeah.
As he's burrowing?
Good question.
He could
Like
like
maybe
burrow
you
and
could-
you pop him out with the burrow and then
Yeah.
hit him
Mhm.
while he's on his back. He's a turtle.
I don't know if we have
He's
anything
a
else
turtle.
like that.
Because he's a turtle.
Do we have anything else like that? I didn't think we had anything else where you like
Lots
could.
of things. Like we have gems and stuff that you pop out of the ground.
Sure.
But like we don't have an enemy yet that you like have to flip to kill.
No, I think there's actually one of those on the list, or at least we talked about
Yeah.
one this week. But
Yeah.
Yeah. We never greenlight those though, because it's always like, wouldn't it just be more fun if I could just hit him whatever? Why do I gotta do this first?
I mean, finding ways to force you to use your burrow more is probably always a good thing, though.
Definitely.
Especially when you're contending with enemies, because right now, facing against enemies, your burrow is really just used for dodging. But finding ways to like force you to use it with more creativity would be fun, I think.
I'm not sure I like this. Just to get back to Enemy of Stoxy, I'm not sure I'm loving this idea. It just seems really annoying.
It does seem annoying, and I wrote it.
Sometimes
I mean,
annoying enemies.
I'm not putting judgment on who wrote it. Ideas are ideas. It just doesn't seem.
But
I would put this lower on the priority list of things I would want in the level.
Yeah, why don't we keep it moving? Bone block, a breakable collision block that's full of bones. I thought this would be good just so this area feels more like a valuable gold rush type thing. Maybe our generic block that we're using a lot here is something where when it breaks, bone pickups spill out so that we have a block that's like directly encouraging you to break it in case you're greedy. You could like cork off a little jail cell of enemies and you're like, oh, I want the bones, but I don't want to release the enemies. Here goes nothing. And by having them bounce around and stuff, you could encourage the player to move around the room more after it's broken. This seems like easy, and it seems like it would be a good fit. So I'm ready to green this sucker.
It would be cool if it was like themed, like a pustule or something that you broke and a bunch of bones spilled out.
It should look like a big molar, like a tooth.
Yeah, and then after you beat the boss, like all of them despawn, like because all of them got mined or whatever.
But then the level won't be as fun the next time. Maybe they all rot and now they're like yellowed teeth and they're not worth as much.
What if you, when you break this block or pustule or whatever, a little puddle of acid comes out over the bones, so you need to like wait a sec before you can just pick them up, so you can't just like run through the stage breaking them all and getting money.
Maybe
that might be neat. Autumn area is like having a lot of acid on the ground because of that big boar. So this is like another concurrent area, kind of with that one. You'll probably do them back to back. So maybe that's cool and fine, but
we could theme it where it's like a gas. It's like gas that explodes out rather than being acid puddle. Like there's ways of making a hitbox like that without it looking like it's the same thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
Maybe it's like a cloud of gas that dissipates
Poison.
that you can burrow underneath or something.
That's cool.
For a sec.
I don't know if this is. Well, it's kind of overlapping now. I wrote lower down. We could have like some kind of gas vent because like it's a decomposing creature. It's gonna release gas.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it would do, but
smell bad.
If we're gonna go for 2 hours, we're gonna need to go through these a lot more.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And we're also, so maybe whoever talked about them could like pitch for what actually they said it was, and then we just move on to the next one without a lot of extra commentary. Then we can get to user suggestions and go through them in the same way.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good? Unless, I mean, if someone has a genius idea, I don't want to blurt it out, please.
Where are my notifications? Okay. Charge break block. You wrote this.
I wrote this, and it is self-explanatory with the description. So you need to use your weapon's charge attack to break the block, and this is just a way I was thinking to gate players a little bit, like, you know.
Hard gate, wow.
I mean, it might not be like everywhere in this area, but there might be certain screens that are blocked off by this. So even if you get here really early game by just charging through content, you might need some upgrades before you can go through the whole thing or get to the boss or whatever the case.
I think
Are
that
upgrades going to be mandatory in this game?
nothing will be mandatory like that. It's extremely likely that the player will upgrade some of their weapons by the time they would get here. I think that something like this is not relevant for the discussion that we're having right now, but I think this is a very interesting idea, and if we did need something to gate people like that in a kind of soft way, this might be a really good way to do that.
I actually think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And
I guess it seems sort of contrary to the idea of the game to me to have things that like gate you based on your abilities.
Right.
There are some things in the game like that, though, right? Like,
no.
Well, there are, like, you with the train whole thing, like, you can't get to certain areas until you have the ticket and whatnot.
There's nothing in the game based on your abilities that gates you right now. That's why I think it's contrary to the game idea. That said, if we want to open that discussion, that's a different topic.
Yeah,
I think let's move on for now.
Yeah, right now this seems like a no, but I think if we do need to like gate people later, like later in development, this would actually maybe be a really elegant way to do it. Moving cave. This sounds like a Sandy idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I was thinking of, like, we wanted to have more subcons in areas that you're going into and out of here, and maybe there's a cave that just looks normal, but you get into it and it moves because you actually went inside, like, the body or mouth of a creature.
Whoa.
Wait, like a creature in the creature in the creature?
Well, it's like, it's not really a cave. Like, maybe it was a calcified creature that, like, hadn't moved in a long time, but it felt your presence, so it, like...
What is that actually like? Functionally, like, is it like the moving room thing in Clockwork Tower? Like, it might, I don't know, like the whole thing is moving and I see the background shifting.
No, I think it would be more like you go in a cave and you'd get some screen shake that wouldn't normally happen when you enter, and you'd be like, okay, that's weird. And then when you exit, you're in a totally different spot, and maybe the exit is the entrance. Like, there's only one way in and out. So it would be more of a context shift rather than like any kind of gameplay mechanic, like a moving platform.
So it's just a more advanced door. You're just going from A to B, but you go to A to C to B.
It's a fancy teleport. Seeing as we're already like thinking about going inside like quicksand and like going up and below and stuff, I don't think we need more things like mysteriously moving you around in this area, but maybe in somewhere else.
We do want to have the thing where you're going between the beach and the creature interior a lot, so...
Yeah. Okay, Parasite. Weak fodder enemy that moves slowly, but if it jumps on you, it sucks your head and does big damage. Gotta mash burrow to get it off faster.
What happens if you burrow when it's on you? Can you just not? Can you only do a tiny hop like you're holding something?
Yeah, probably. That would make sense. It's like if you can't see, so you can't burrow or something, maybe.
This isn't my idea, but I think it'd be cool, like, if instead of damaging your health, we had something that, like, took away some of your bone stone, kind of like how in Bloodborne, like, there's those enemies that will take your insight. We just don't have anything like that yet.
Oh God, I hate that. I love
that. I love it.
You're a sadist.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's just so frustrating because it's like a resource that's already hard to get.
What do players love when something like sticks onto you and you can't get it off, and when it like steals your permanent resources?
Well, still, that's why you kill it. That's why you're careful with it.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
be
good to
careful.
have enemies that players are gonna hate. Something that like sticks on you like a gross bacteria sounds thematically cool, but I'm not sure if it would actually be fun for gameplay. Anything else on Parasite?
It could be a thing too. I mean, this is just riffing on the same idea, but like it jumps on you and takes control of your character, or makes it harder for you to control Mina. So maybe it doesn't actually do much damage, but it makes it harder for you to contend with the other enemies on the screen.
What are those things in the 3D Zelda games, like the spikes that attach to you and you have to like spin attack to get them off?
Those are called the worst.
Oh. Right, yeah, that's what I'm mentioning.
Okay, so we don't. So I'm hearing we don't like this idea that much.
Maybe it'd be cool if it messed with your mobility in a way that wasn't totally annoying, but like was
Status
potentially an
rejected.
opportunity. What if it's stuck?
Oh, whoa.
What if they're stuck on you and now you go
First
faster?
rejected.
You know?
How about this? How about this? How about a bunch of parasites start jumping on you, and then after a certain amount jump on you, then like all the dialogue boxes change, and it's like they change to things that are like what the parasites want you to be doing, like you're infected by them, but you don't know it.
Oh yeah,
And you do like a
that's
parasite.
awesome,
You do like a parasite quest.
dude. What if you could get a parasite trinket, and if you're wearing the parasite trinket, your dialogue's weird.
Oh, that okay, but that's more of a trinket than something that's like, like an enemy then.
Anyway,
No, it would be both.
No, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be
Now we
awesome.
have to do it.
All right, I'm gonna unreject parasite column.
What if it takes
Now
over your brain?
change it from rejected to genius.
like a smart idea.
Do we have a genius option?
This is kind of neat. I don't know what this is as like a moment-to-moment gameplay guy, but that's a neat idea. Maybe we could do something with a parasite taking over your brain. Wouldn't that be fun? Bone hermit crab.
Yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's thematically, it's a little crab or something that uses skulls and bones as its house, but it also requires Mina to burrow under it and flip it over to it to kill it. Or it could be like it spits something at you and its head sticks out, so that's your window to attack it. One of those things.
How do we feel about a turtle enemy that you flip over?
I think it could be fun as long as it's not too much. You should flip it over once, and it's just on its back, and you can just hit it until it dies.
I guess here's the thing. Right now, when you burrow underneath a regular enemy, you get hit, right? And so we don't have any enemies that you burrow under right now to do something like this to them.
They would have to look like a pot or something because you pick those up, right?
Right. Yeah. I guess just that's going to have to be really clear. The last thing we would want is players to be experimenting with burrowing under every enemy to see if it does something good. That would be like a huge fail.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like, oh, I got hit by Big Frog. Oh, I got hit by this guy. Oh, I didn't get hit by this guy. We have to be consistent with that.
We could create some visual language, like a little symbol that's always on enemies that you can do that too.
It could also just be a different interaction. Like you don't emerge there, you simply like pass by it, and that has the effect.
Looks like a pot. Looks like a pot. Looks like a rock. Looks like a box.
Yeah, pot with a head coming out of it, like the pot is its turtle shell. Come on, works perfectly.
Then you would try it.
Yeah.
Every area so far has a unique throwable, with the exception of like things that you have to throw, like the boulders. But like we have the pots in Crypt, we have the crates in
Yeah,
Bayou.
it could be that there's turtle shells all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
That'd be cool.
The other way. Very genius.
Okay.
Does it bounce back like a Mario turtle when you throw it?
Good.
With a throwable shell, okay.
Turtle shell.
Actual, a real Koopa Troopa shell.
Yeah.
It's a Mario reference.
Um,
Our tribute to Mario.
Okay.
Next.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on moving on. Bone archer, enemy that shoots bones at you. I think we do need a projectile guy somewhere in here. They're gonna look like you collect
Archer.
Bone archer seems very strange.
Yes.
I was playing Elden Ring.
Maybe.
How about like bone pickaxe tosser?
It's like not an idea.
What if
like just make one of the other ideas a projectile guy?
I got an idea. What if
Right,
what
like-
if he keeps reaching into his quiver, right? But like every once in a while, he pulls out like an actual bone that's a pickup. and so you want to get hit by that one, but you want to avoid like the arrows. How about that?
Sure. Should it be projectile or should it be axe arc throw?
I don't know.
I think we can do a lob with the pickaxe miners.
Lobbing is always lobbing seems like that works well to track the projectiles at least.
Yeah, as long as there's a shadow underneath.
Yeah, I mean we already have jug lobber.
Yeah, if we had another lobber, I'd make it like a Bowser or Hammer Bros kind of lobber, maybe.
Someone that tosses like a zillion bones. I love it.
Yeah.
He could throw all of his ribs at you.
And then he runs out.
And
And then he's just gone.
And when you kill him, you get no money for it.
I kind of don't want to add like another skeleton. I like that our one skeleton is like the loot skeleton. I think that's cute.
Yeah,
But
I think I-
but it could be something, a decomposing creature of any type that looks bony.
So
So
how about a hammer bros? That's like what we are talking about that we actually like of this idea, right? How about we do like a hammer bros? Someone
projectiles?
Someone that throws a million little projectiles and like kind of jumps around back and forth or like moves around just a little bit so you can't just stand there and whip them. Right? They dance in and out of your range like that jumping bird from Zelda 2.
Yeah, what would it be?
Can he jump like over collision and stuff? Like just any like
Sure.
valid ground. So he like gets up on that ledge and you're like, ah, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I was imagining his jumps would be very small, right? Like little half tile to one tile jumps.
Okay.
But yeah, he could jump over a one or something, or he could just stop at the edge and not fall in.
Right.
Either way, he could guard the edge and throw a million bones at you. You're like, ugh.
It could be a
bone.
like a fish person or like a
Yeah,
What do
it
you call
could be
that?
spitting. Could be spitting bones.
creature from the Black Lagoon.
It doesn't have to be spitting actual bones, I guess.
Could be spitting anything.
Right. I guess thematically, what kinds of things would be cool in here as far as monsters go?
Yeah.
We talked about natural defenses of the creature. We talked about miners or other like NPCs. But how about like what flora and fauna? What else could?
Oh yeah, it could be a plant that it's a proximity based thing where if you close, it starts shooting a spore or shooting spores out.
I mean, if it's really active, probably wouldn't be a plant, right?
I know. I mean,
Alright, we should move on.
Yeah,
Got a million of these.
we've got
Let's
the
go, let's go,
concept
let's go.
phase in
Hammer
the
Bro.
future.
Marrow Mage, a weird necromancer that summons weak fodder skeleton, could be a repallet of the one in the crypt. Another necromancer that summons something from the ground.
No thanks.
Yeah, not feeling it.
Damn. But the word Marrow Mage is so creative. Fire Ant.
We could have Marrow Mage be in the game.
Oh, wait, I mean,
Acid Ant, not Fire Ant. An ant that leaves a trail of acid behind it, used for when Mina's burrowing under the glass.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's right. We're gonna have glass gameplay in this.
Right. So yeah. So if we're gonna have glass gameplay where Mina's burrowing under the glass, maybe you could
Can we show that?
Can you show what that looks like?
Sure.
There's a little in the trailer, but
So glass is normal ground. You can't burrow into it, but you can burrow under it if you get to the not glass part.
And you can't attack when you're under the glass either right now. So I was thinking that the ant could be something that goes in a pattern, and it would basically just be like Snake for cell phone, right? It would have a head, and it would move, and the trail of acid would go maybe 5, 6, 7 tiles behind it, and it would go in a pattern, and then you would have to not get hit as you navigated Mina underneath the glass. About as simple as it gets. I don't know. You can't attack these guys, or you can't. It would be fun if somehow you could defeat them, but I don't know how that would work with the glass because that mechanic is figured out yet. Maybe you could lure them out from underneath the glass, and then they could come up onto the surface, and you could whip them. Maybe the ants. Maybe they go toward you, and you could lure them into some kind of trap, like a pit or a zapping electricity, or something.
How big is an ant?
One tile.
Okay, so huge.
Or like an 8, or they could even be like an 8x8, I guess. But I was imagining them being like one tile.
Dumb idea, but could the ant be above the glass and they just have acid that corrodes through the glass and can hurt you from down there? That's probably too confusing.
Yeah, maybe if it was a grating instead of a glass, then or something that it could dip through. Then sure.
Instead of an good.
Well,
just instead of an ant, I mean, could it be something like bacteria that's more themed to the?
Yes,
level?
I was just imagining an ant because it's like digging through sand and it would leave a trail behind like an ant farm.
Gotcha.
But it could be anything. Just ant I thought would work as a visual aid.
Cool.
Bacteria ant.
Yeah, it seems cool as something that could be above or below, and you could lure it out to kill it.
Yeah. I'll make a note.
Yeah, that sounds good.
What is this? What is this next one?
Oh wait, okay, whale. Slide on the whale. Sorry, I wrote these and then I didn't fill it out more. Okay,
It's
maybe
not
it's
an
like,
enemy or an object.
This would be an object, a whale rib, and you would be able to place it on the level design would be able to place it on the ground, and it could be a set length. And when you jump on it, then you would slide on it until you got to the end, and then you would hop off again.
I think that would be cool because it.
Was it like a rail?
It's a rope.
Yes, it's a rail, David.
Yeah.
You could even jump off of it as you were sliding, maybe.
Does it move, or
But it
do
sounds-
I move?
You move. You slide along it. It's a rail.
But you can't go
Whale.
back up it, right?
It goes left to right or up and down. It does not go.
When it goes.
elevation.
Okay, so it's not a slide.
Is
I see.
Yeah, does that make sense? Here, let's.
Or can it be diagonal? That's what I was thinking.
Whoa, what? Okay, here.
That's what I
Let
was
me.
thinking.
I'll draw what I was thinking.
I was thinking it was just a spline and it could go whatever which way. Whichever which way we have art for.
Oh, that's genius. That's even better.
This is
This guy's
well.
got
This
some weird
is well.
shaped bones.
How's it gonna look like you slide on this? I guess.
It's like grinding, right? Like Spectre.
Yeah, she would be standing there like she's rail grinding.
I'm also thinking we're gonna have like quicksand or moving like sand in this level, which is like a tile on the ground that like moves you in a direction that we can put in any shape we want. It seems like maybe these ideas overlap.
Whoa. A rail could be good because it could carry you from one area to another area that you can travel normally. Like we don't have all, besides ropes and falling down.
What else does that? Is mine carts. And we have miners everywhere. Just saying.
Well, we don't have miners yet.
Well, that's true.
We have one note about a miner potentially.
Instead of mine tracks, all the miners should be carting their stuff around on whale ribs.
I mean, I like that though. I think that could be good just as a way to like separate areas of the level once you're like inside the monster. It's like this, just so it feels like you're progressing. You know, now you see all the miners and you're like, oh, this is a different area.
It would be cool if like you had to like whale slide over like a previous room and you have to do the jump at the right time or else you fall back down, right? Like you're going back through previous levels but taking the whale rib slide path.
Whale rail.
Whale rail.
What's a whale rib look like?
How would this gate off areas differently than a pipe system would?
Where should I paste this? You would be able. I think you would be able to jump onto this at any time, and then it would just start you going left or right, and then you could also jump off of it at any time.
Ah.
But if you're standing on it, it just takes you in the direction.
That sounds cool. It would be a cool way to have secret areas. Like you have to jump off at the right time.
Yeah.
Alec, did you get my paste? Where should I paste this?
I'm looking at it right now.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, that's right. I don't have you up.
I guess I could be like streaming my screen. Whatever.
Yeah, it could be like high above the ground or high on a wall. You know.
What does that mean?
We got to get skateboarding into all of our games.
Whale rail.
Whale rail.
Okay, let's move on.
By the way, are pipes specific to Bone Beach or is that a generic?
The intention is that we would be using those wherever we see fit. I could see one level later on where they're more of a focus, but right now they're generic.
I didn't know if that was an object on this list in the spreadsheet or not.
Whale grind rail. Yellow or green? What do y'all think?
Yellow.
All right.
It seems like we're not greeting anything other than the really easy.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Marrow hole, a hollow bone that you burrow into the middle to release the marrow / travel somewhere.
That
Yeah,
seems like
so
a
this is
very
like-
good bone block.
Yeah, well, I just thought it would be, like, have you ever had a bone marrow where it's like a big bone hole and there's marrow in there? What if you could, like,
Yeah, it's delicious.
what if you could, it's so delicious. What if you, like, what if you had to go dig in there and it was weird? That's the idea. That's it. The gameplay, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So it sounds like just a different version of like the pipes that we have, but with like a different art, maybe.
It could be, or you could go down in there and pull something out, right? Like there's just marrow. It's marrow barrels essentially. You go down there, and boom, you take something out. Oh, it's a prize. Oh, you get something out. Oh, it's a rock. Oh, you take something out. Oh, it's like something gross. Maybe it could be something you burrow into to get something out of.
Sideways, and you like burrow through it, and like you have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to shove all the marrow out to the right. Finally, it's like
Ew.
and all the marrow goes everywhere.
The marrow's pressure is indicated by its color. It gets like more pink and then red, and then it's red, and then it like squirts you out.
Okay, let's move on. Pufferfish, a little guy that floats around idly or bounces at 45 degrees or slowly comes at you. Whip him or get hit by him, becomes big, puffs up. Whipping them can knock him around. Lots of them together, dangerous.
That's cool.
I feel like I wrote
like
this
the big puffy guy.
many years ago.
I wrote it.
The fat trowel.
Well, you're a genius, Waz.
Maybe this is
I didn't
something
write it. I was kidding.
that could
Oh.
explode and shoot spikes.
Dang you, Waz.
Maybe this guy could like shoot needles out in 8 directions. I feel like we don't really have an enemy like that, where they're like shooting projectiles in a pattern in every direction, and you gotta like stand in between the angles.
That sounds cool.
That sounds really cool. Although
I like when he deflates when he does that, so he, like it starts to cycle over again.
this sounds to me like it would make more sense maybe as a stationary enemy though, if it's like shooting in 8 directions. That seems
No.
really,
No,
I like the rule of
no. Stationary, get out of here.
that seems so hard.
I bet we could make this work. Something like this.
I mean, they can become
What I was-
stationary before they shoot, but they should move around.
What I was imagining is that it was someone that would float around kind of idly within a space. Someone that it would be difficult for you to go by within a 2-tile gap, right? And so you would whip them to try and get rid of them, but when you whip them, they get enormous and huge, and maybe when they're enormous and huge, they bounce or they do something that's more annoying. So you're like, I don't want to whip them, but they're getting in my way. I don't want to whip them,
that's awesome.
but they're getting in my way.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds different than the shooting the needles, but I like both
Shooting was-
ideas.
Yeah, the shooting is a different thing.
No matter
Well, when they're
what.
big, when they go from big to small, they could have projectiles.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah,
they're going to
that's-
need a thing
that's right.
that they can do, and that could be that.
It could also be that they make needles when they die.
Sure, yeah. I was more just saying, yeah, we need something. We need something that like shoots needles in 8 directions. That seems like it'd be useful.
That could be the red version of it.
Whoa, Super Gooper, a gooper that blows up when you kill him.
Love it.
Love it, perfect.
Green.
I think it would be smart to commit to just finally making like a repaleted guy. What if we said, yeah, red gooper? Let's like figure it out and throw him in here.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Does Red Gooper mean he has a new ability?
Blows up.
I might think red gooper means it's the same logic, but like the numbers are just increased, right? It's like his velocity is higher and he has more health, but like it's the exact same enemy logic, and like the jump goes further or whatever.
And it doesn't blow up when you kill him?
Maybe it blows up when you kill him. If maybe it doesn't. Either way, that seems fair game. Super Gooper.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's commit to figuring out like
You
Super
should call
Gooper.
it like Red Gooper. Super Gooper is confusing to me.
Yeah, but red
I would
Gooper
think-
doesn't rhyme.
Blooper Gooper. No, it's
Level 2
copyrighted.
Gooper.
Okay, anything more on that?
No.
Zombie
Nope.
Gooper. When you kill him, a body rises up, and now he is a scarier enemy with a Gooper for a head. What?
Oh my god, I love it.
What?
He's like really, really scary, but his head is a gooper.
What?
That would seem annoying if it's the same Gooper that jumps around everywhere.
This seems like we should get a mini boss somewhere.
Yeah.
This appears. I've seen something like this in a game.
Is the idea that this is like a mimic? Like you didn't expect it to be a big
Yes.
giant monster, and then the
I
monster
think
comes out?
that's- Yes.
Okay.
You're like,
It should be a one-time event. Yeah.
I guess.
Or it's a one-time event, and then the whole dungeon has them, and it's all those guys all the time. Right?
Classic Souls.
Control C, Control V.
I guess this one like wouldn't jump around, maybe, because if you killed it in the air, I don't know.
Yeah,
how this would work.
that's what I was thinking. It was a little bit confusing.
So maybe that's how you can tell he never jumps at you.
Or he could just land and then die or whatever. You know, he could have different behavior because he's gonna have different behavior.
Right?
Yeah, sure. Seems like a yellow. I'll write a note to saying maybe this is like an idea for a mini boss because we need one of those as well. Okay, whalebone wielder. An agile lancer that wields a whalebone as a weapon.
No, I'm thinking of this guy as a lancer. I'm thinking of his giant, slow club dude.
Yeah, that should be the guy that you're like the overseer of the mining operation, and you like have to fight him as a boss later, and he uses that huge whalebone.
Is there?
It's like single time he attacks with a giant club, money breaks off, and you have to collect it.
Whoa.
Is there something that we could do? Is there some kind of opportunity for like another weapon wielder enemy? Like we have all those huntsmen in the
How's this
oddity
different
area,
than Big Frog?
or Big Frog, right?
Should we look at Big Frog?
Sure. Here's Big Frog.
Wait, how's that different from like Paladin? Like the enemy that we have that holds a sword.
That's what we're asking.
No, I see.
Here's Big
Big
Frog.
Frog, as I would describe as not agile, but he has a big weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is a lancing guy, then his patterns could be more like directional, and he can be agile. Like he's more like left and right zooming, and then up and down zooming. But the trick is to like out agile him.
Very agile. I meant like more. Is there like something we could do with the fact that he's like wielding a weapon that we haven't like really done yet? You could swing it, and like the smear could be like all big and like a Bloodborne boss. You know, like we could.
A million things we could do.
It could be.
Maybe you can, maybe you could pick up the whalebone afterwards, but when you swing it, you get one hit and it just collapses into money.
Whoa.
I guess this theme's mostly like an idea that's themed around what the weapon is, so we can slot it into a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This seems like a cool starting point for a complex enemy if we want a guy like that. Let's move on. Wet dry fish. A fish that's really impossible when he's wet. Use the water razor lowerer to dry him out, and he's a wuss.
Water razor lower?
Are we adding that to Bone Beach?
Oh.
Bone Beach system.
This would be a place to use it. I'm hesitant to do it because I'm not sure how to make any of that fun. It sounds like just annoying.
Is it getting used anywhere right now, or is it just kind of existing?
Can we see
The
it?
system.
The water valve.
Show us the water.
There's
razor
one
lower.
room in Bayou, or
I do not remember.
I also don't.
It was broken.
Yeah,
it's in
I think.
the house.
Yeah.
I think it might be broken. I might have broken it.
Was it in this house? No, it's just that.
think so.
Oh, you're right.
Wait a second.
Yeah, it's downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a
Pointers
water
here.
razor
We come
lower.
up with lots of weird names for things, and they just become commonplace. Whoa! Oh wow, that was awesome.
So now
Water razor lowerer.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think we need to get this to work in the Bayou because the boss revolves around this idea, so it's a huge mistake that this isn't in the Bayou.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe we can reference it, but I think if anything, wet dry fish should be a bayou enemy,
Yeah.
not a beach enemy.
Yeah. This.
I
Let's.
All right, let's move on.
Let's
This is
see.
not related.
Barrel body, a barrel for a body that runs towards you.
What?
Whip him and he'll stick his head out, then jump and hit his head. You have to jump and hit him in the head to hurt him. So
Oh, that's such a good idea.
the guy you hit in the body and then you jump and hit him in the head.
That's
I can't imagine this.
That's Donkey Kong Country 2. I know it.
Definitely.
Yeah, this
It
is
could
like
be a hermit crab too.
right. That's like exactly what we were
Mhm.
talking about above. But something like this seems like it could be fun.
Well, the idea of having to jump actually to hit him, right?
Yeah, that's the cool part.
The high-low is what's interesting, I think.
Yeah, but this is you hit his body and then he pops his head out, right?
Correct.
As opposed to like he pops it in.
Has this
Because like you can't damage him just by attacking. You got to get his head to pop out, and then you.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get a lot more. I wrote a few of these kind of ideas.
That sounds great.
Like
I think we should do this.
How's this gonna work with the hammer? You can't like hit in midair with that. It's too heavy.
I mean, your charge attack with the hammer hits from above already, so.
Like it would just work.
Yeah, maybe just with the hammer it works.
You got to be able to do something with the hammer.
This is another like two-step Zelda-y enemy. Like I burrow under them, and I flip over, and then I hit him. I hit the body, and then the head pops out, and I hit the head. Is that something we're interested in including in this area?
It's not two different steps though, right? It's just like attack and then attack. Well, I guess air attack is different, but what I mean is you're not doing something weird like burrowing underneath them or something.
It could also hit him for like 2 HP when you normally whip him, and 16 HP when you whip his head, right?
Right.
Like he just
Like it's a crit.
he's very heavily shielded.
I'll add that note.
Yeah, or he could just stick his head out and stick it back in.
Yeah, he could also stick it out to shoot a fireball and put it back in or whatever. You gotta catch him.
Okay. Sounds like we have some enthusiasm for barrel body.
He could be like Piranha Plant also, where he only sticks his head out when you're far away, and then you get close and you're like, you gotta whip him.
I think even if we don't take this one, we can reuse him for a different area. He doesn't seem that tied to beach.
Well,
definitely
not yet. Wait till it looks like a hermit crab.
Well, yeah, I'm just not sure. Yeah, overall thematically, I guess, or gameplay wise, I guess the things that we have are conveyor belts, right? Like that's confirmed.
Yeah.
We're going to be like on sand, and things are going to be moving around. We're going to be falling into pits, going between a top level and a bottom level.
We got I think the rail ride, the grind rail is pretty solid as well, and the pipes.
I like grind rail because it makes you feel like the ground underneath is more perilous or not optimal, which would be good for an area like this.
Yes, exactly.
I can't believe Whale Rail just sailed by.
Whale Rail sailed right in there.
Whale Rail sailed.
Alright, what's next?
Wall Clinger, an enemy that clings onto walls like a Zelda patroller. I feel like this keeps coming up, and I'm like, that's a great idea, but we don't have one yet. That sounds like it would be a great fit.
What are walls in this game?
These are walls. You see, like, around the edge? That's walls.
Yay! I just don't know what it means to cling onto a wall.
That means, like there's an enemy overlapping these wall tiles. See where Mina is right now?
Can you whip it?
Yeah, you, like, hit it on the wall.
Like can you whip the wall right now? I can't remember if you can whip the wall, because it goes in a little bit.
I mean,
it's like whipping a candle. Overlaps the wall a little bit.
We have to be very careful when we stick enemies into walls, basically.
Isn't that like a collision, or is that allowed?
I think we could make it allowed. I think
yeah,
we
like
make this read.
Once you're standing on collision, you can just stand on it.
Well, and I mean, the body could stick out away from the wall.
Go to another complicated room and show the path would go.
I guess I don't know what cling to a wall would mean that's different from other behavior.
Is this like a sun? Are you saying a sun in Mario?
A sun in
like
Mario?
That? Yeah, sorry, that's another sun. The thing that goes around a platform. Like, is it that? Is that what
are these?
Spark. Mario Spark.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Spark.
Yeah,
so,
it like goes around, it like, you know, moves
so
like
in
this.
Zelda, they're like electricity balls.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could like appear as if it's a little bit off the wall if we're concerned about it overlapping the collision a little bit too much. And it like follows this path and it goes around. It could like track the player and you're like, there's like a pit in front of that wall, so it's still like shooting fireballs at me. I gotta bait it to somewhere where I can actually hit it.
It seems too.
Or use a projectile.
It seems like the wall is too much of a question mark zone. Why can't he just go on the floor on the inside tile like all these other guys?
Does he not attack you or anything? Because if it's just on the wall hovering, like you just don't go near the wall and you're set. Like, what is the attack pattern there?
I imagine it would be something shooting projectiles at you. And and trying to track your position.
We got a lot of
Changing a lot.
projectiles. Yeah. This does not seem interesting to me.
What?
I think just spark. How about that?
This spark sounds interesting, but I think if we have just spark, I think we need something else to have the spark be able to change where it could be going. You know, like a spark is essentially when it hits a wall, it changes directions, right? So
yeah,
if we have like blocks that break, or moving platforms, or moving walls, if like as long as we're introducing other elements that make it more dynamic, I think they're boring, but like they're fun for like 2 rooms, and then you're like, why don't put one of these in there? They just annoy me.
Yeah, moving platforms are a natural choice. If they go on the floor, then when the platform is butted up against the floor, then it can cross. Otherwise, it can't.
Right, or a moving wall, like the walls there sometimes or not, depending on like how fast it got around the arena.
It just doesn't seem that interesting because you're not really ever going to be near the walls in this game. Unless we build setups that get the player into areas where it can be dangerous, it just seems like it's going to be like a passive threat that is not that cool or fun to play around.
Well, you need passive threats to to help the other encounters, right? It's like I'm fighting this guy, but the wall guy is shooting projectiles because he's over on that far wall. I need to like get up there.
I think we should green this and the other like common Zelda object threats with. I don't know if they're in this list or not, but
So will it shoot projectiles at you?
we can make a version that does.
Okay.
Well, wait, hold on. Is it on the wall or on the floor?
I think it's got to be on the floor.
I see this as an enemy that is on the floor, and let's imagine it's a spider crawling around, like their back legs are like touching the wall.
Yes.
And it's like going in this path.
Yeah. Okay.
Here it goes.
Yeah. Keep going. Yes. Oh yeah. You're going just where I thought you were gonna go. Yeah.
Then I guess I don't know what happened there, but you know, it crawls around the edges. And I think this would be neat if it was something that was like, you know, trying to track the player as well. So like,
you could have an alternative.
I'm like moving up and down, and it's like going up and down. It's spitting at me.
They could all move. They could all stop when you whip all of them on the screen.
Alec, are you able to increase the volume of your mic? Not on Discord. In the stream.
I could speak up.
Wow.
No.
It's already at 0 decibels. Sorry, I don't know what to do. Hovers in front of a wall tile. Could all stop when you attack.
They could all stop somehow, right? Maybe when you're burrowed, they're like, where are
I would prefer this is not something you could kill unless except in special circumstances.
Not killable.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think like it being a continuous hazard is the fun of it.
Or you gotta lure it into something or somehow get it.
Yeah, or if I have the special thing that kills it, like like the anglerfish or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forget what our fish is called.
Maybe it like, maybe it could like fall in like pits or something, and so if we build a level design, you could like bait some of them to like go in there just by like moving your character. So you can get the fun of like, I've triumphed over this enemy, but like, yeah, okay. I think you're right though that it should be like something that is not killable generally. Okay, next up, moving spitter. Little patrolling enemy spits a projectile to fit rate if you're in his range.
Many projectiles.
Projectiles are fun. We need more projectiles. I don't see anything about this though that's particularly.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it's so generic that it could be.
Yeah,
if we need a projectile enemy, sounds good.
Thick skull. An enemy with a thick skull in front of them attack from behind in vulnerable areas to defeat him. I'm a little hesitant to do this because we've still got that armored guy that has a shield in front. Sounds kind of like that.
That's also that Zelda skull guy. We don't like. They have helmetar.
Yeah, anything else?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thick skull guy. Going once, going twice.
I mean, I think using shield stuff more would be good, and this is a lot different than, I would say, a lot different than the other guy who has this very tiny shield in one specific spot. That said, I don't care about the theming or whatever.
Yeah, there's not really a lot to talk about here, but maybe it would be cool.
Someone you could only attack
have
from
another
behind.
shieldy guy.
Somebody
think-
got to attack from behind.
Is he fast? Is he slow? What's going on?
That
Big,
depends.
small?
That would depend on, I think, our suite of the rest of our enemies and what slot this guy would need to go in.
Well,
So
I would, if we need it, we'll put it in there. I don't think it's in any way special.
under sack. Go underneath a big veiny sack and swim in it. Come out the hole to drain the sack of fluid.
Oh my gosh.
What on earth?
That's
is that?
awesome.
Is it like a? Is it a? Do you go underneath the sack in terms of like hollowing, and then when you
Who wrote
pop
this?
out?
Who wrote this?
No,
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants to claim it.
I mean, that seems cool, right? Like you're underneath the ground, and you have to emerge from underneath a sack, and then it bursts.
Like,
Why?
you're popping
Why do you burst
pimples.
it?
Oh my god.
Is it a good thing to burst it? Is it a bad thing to burst it? What's going on?
Yeah, it sounds like we need more context.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this an enemy or an object?
Sounds like an object.
It's like an object.
But all of these
Sure,
questions
okay.
we don't have the answer to, though, because whoever made it is not fessing up. Alligator. Something that sweeps low. This is a familiar one. Sweeps low with its tail. You gotta jump over it. Attacks high, and you gotta duck. Maybe blocks high when it's attacking low, and vice versa.
Duck button in this game?
What was that, Jasper?
Burrow.
Oh, burrow. Burrows are duck button. That's right.
Yeah, this I just brought this over. I still want to really do this.
Yeah. Okay. We'll really try to work him in there. Sand spike wave. Guy that does projectiles in sequence on the ground. Big spikes that come up that hit through the floor and lightly home towards you. I don't know about the specifics of this necessarily, but some guy doing something that creates an attack in the ground that you are vulnerable to while burrowing, I think would make sense. That seems like an escalation that we should be introducing into the game.
Well, I thought it could be cool, like, to have a guy that's, like, making paths, too, that are, like, you know, creating walls in the arena, essentially.
Talk more about that. These are like
You know,
columns of dirt
like-
that are just like an attack
Yes.
box, though.
Imagine there's 7 columns, and they all last. You know, each just one specifically lasts for a few seconds. Then it's like, you know, there's 2 of these guys on screen. It's like it really changes the arena layout depending on like on where I am and what else I'm fighting, kind of stuff.
I like this. I think that's smart. Thematically, this could really be anything. What should it be? Chat, tell us what sand spike wave should be. but I think mechanically that makes a lot of sense.
Be a bone mancer.
A bone mancer.
Makes big bone spikes come from the floor.
Whoa.
Be a tremors worm.
And it's just like snaking in and out of the ground. And it's so long that it lasts there for 6 seconds. Okay, sine wave. Something that flies in a sine wave.
Yeah, so sine knife, the sine knife of this game.
Somebody underrated it.
You got to be able to put it in a zone also, right? Like a spawn.
I think we should like things. There's like a few basic enemy types that we do not have. We should green, and whether or not they're this area or not, I think we should like work on them and figure out if they slot into this area.
Okay.
So there's like this, and there's like the things that come at you in Zelda, and there's like birder things, and so, you know.
45-degree enemy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that written anywhere? Do you have that?
That was the puppered fish
One of those
was
was
like maybe that, but maybe not. It sounds like this enemy's going in a different direction. 45-degree guy. We could add at the bottom, just in case. There, now it's there. Let's keep going. Sandworm. We already did a sandworm. Worm that crawls on the sand, made of pieces. When it's in the sand, when you burrow, you get hurt. When it's out of the sand, you can't burrow under it, but you can jump over it. bounces around, sort of like the boss in Link to the Past, like a moldorm. In glass areas, you can see it under glass. So this is like one of those little more moldorm guys.
It's like I was thinking of it like, I don't know, each piece was maybe a tile, like a circle, and maybe it's like 5 pieces long or something. So it's like it's a moldorm, but not maybe as aggressive or crazy and huge. And then so basically something to like, if you're burrowing, you get hit by it. If it's on ground, you can jump over it to try to encourage those mechanics too, and then it could work with the glass stuff.
It's like going above and below.
Yes.
Do we have any other enemies that when you're burrowing, you get hit?
Not really, which is why we should endeavor to add more.
Not like a huge feature of it, but yes, things do hit you when you're burrowing. Like the boss of the bayou hits you, like the fire hit you're burrowed. I think, but this would be like a really clear seller of that, and it would be cool because they could be burrowing around, and you're fighting something else, and they're still threats because they stop you from being able to burrow. But they're not even in your space. That's what seems cool to me.
I feel like if we're doing a desert area that already has like conveyor sand, if we like add a little modular moldorm guy going around, it's gonna feel just like too many steps too far. Maybe this goes like somewhere else. But
Or this could be the enemy only and not in the sand parts.
Or we think.
I guess this seems very perfect to me. I don't know why does it have to do with conveyor sand?
It's like Zelda. I've already played a Zelda level with conveyor sand in a desert environment where worm guys made of modular pieces like swim around. I've like played a game exactly like
You're saying the theming is too much like Zelda?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't care what the theme is. My point is that I think it should go in a sand thing, and because it fits the idea of sand.
I bet there's a way we could make it.
And it fits our gameplay. That's what I care about.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with all of that. I guess we're just being really careful about that. Let's keep green in it, and then we'll see what we got room for. Flying bird flies around not super fast, but shoots a projectile at you.
Yeah, I thought we could use more flying things that were not as so aggressive.
Yeah, we have bone bird, which is like more of a Castlevania crow, in that you're like, ugh, I hate your path so much, right? And it's just like always an annoying spot. We have the pumpkin flyer, which like spits a projectile at you and is like a little bit easier to fight.
Yeah, I was picturing this like one of those projectile guys that are really slow in Link to the Past.
The vultures?
And they just sort of like drop it straight, I think. And they chase you really slow.
Those big mushrooms that drop.
Yeah, they're like
bomb.
mushroom-looking things, I think. Yeah.
The mushrooms that spit bombs.
But it's sort of like more along the lines of like, I guess the fairies from Shovel Knight, like that kind of gameplay, where it's like they're like not really a threat other than like if I'm not paying attention to them.
Flies around slow and steady. Yeah, I think there would need to be more than just what's written here, but we could try to design something that would fit this mold. Why don't we yellow it? I'm not sure. A new flying enemy always sounds good, but beyond that, I'm not really sure. Big shield, completely covered in a shield, gotta hit its back by crossing under him with a burrow.
We already did this one, I thought. Or we did something similar.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
This would be the same as the
Turtle, burrow under to carry, throw him in water to make a platform, I think. I think we should not lean into like water crossing gameplay in this area. We should strive to like put those ideas in the bayou. Bayou already has like lily pads going up and down out of the water. I'm not sure we need this here. Anything else on
I just want to say that if you got a part that's on the beach, you need to have like some parts that are in the water.
I think we can totally do that. But if it seems like if we spend one of our slots on this, then we're going to need to put this everywhere, and I wouldn't want to do that. correct?
Yeah, we can probably find other ways of making water platforms for like 1 or 2 areas in the beach.
You need to You need to cross the beach and go over to an island that's a screen or 2 of water away. That that kind of thing would be fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if we need a unique enemy for that purpose though.
Yeah,
Well, I guess if we, I don't know, if we already had a turtle that I like we talked about, or pot, or whatever it was, rock, or, shelter everywhere.
The pot
but
witch.
you could put this on there, and it could just be a secret kind of thing. You don't have to make it
Or the turtle shell.
Yeah, the turtle shell. Like, when you throw it in deep water, or, the pit at this stage, because that's what it's going to be, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, then you can make a platform. Oh, I didn't know that. That's a cool secret. That's how I get over to that little corner that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Alright.
Could be a little minor thing used for one secret that you
Come on,
could
don't write that.
use
Don't write
for
that.
a secret.
Just make it green.
Just make it green.
What do you mean, just make it green? Committing to throwing a turtle in the water?
Yeah, it being green doesn't mean you commit to anything.
It means I'm committing to thinking about it more, like, next week.
Just a yes and for...
Alright.
You should just, you could yellow it though, because I would say if we're doing the other idea, I would do this.
Okay.
Right, I might make a part of it.
Okay, much more colorful now that it's yellow. Mining conveyor belt. Use conveyor belts just like how miners did. Dust could appear on the belt or something. Just use more conveyor belts. I could see it being the case that the sand that flows looks weird if we're putting it inside of these gross pustulely interiors. Maybe we just have like a different conveyor belt art for like the interior. If we're doing a cool mining excavation of this big monster, then
I think
burrow into the conveyor belt and burrow into the sand.
Can't
so there's a
burrow
difference between
into
them.
this conveyor.
Then you could mix that, and that might be interesting.
Yes.
I mean, this maybe could work, but I also think rails are doing a large part of this already. And I feel like if we do rails, we should just use rails instead of this.
Wait, we're doing rails and conveyor belts?
No, I'm saying we should do rails and like one or the other. They seem similar.
We already have conveyor belts. That's what the sand is. And
Well, I
would also describe them as extremely different, because one is like normal gameplay and one is you're set on a path and you have no control. So this is like, I could be fighting enemies on conveyor belts, right?
Okay.
And, I have to figure out how to navigate that, as opposed to like getting on a rail and riding it.
Right. This seems cool. Does anyone have anxiety about just putting like 2 types of conveyor belt into one level, or is that actually like smart and cool?
I think it's pretty cool.
I like the idea of having a conveyor belt that you can't burrow into. I like the idea of putting more stuff you can't burrow into. I think this would make sense if we go with like an area inside the creature that has a bunch of miners doing something. This sounds cool.
Right.
Yes, well, especially if it's like, I don't know, I go from like it gets the level gets progressively more metal floor or glassy, and then it's like fuck, those enemies are easy over here and suck over here.
Would this overlap with the whale slide, the whalebone slide at all?
That's what we just talked about.
Oh, sorry.
We just had a 1 minute long conversation about that, and we're not going to do it.
All I heard was I just heard conveyor belt. I heard conveyor belt.
It's all cool. Maybe it would overlap. I think it wouldn't really. We could both have them. We could have both of them, and it would provide interesting mobility gameplay. Side-scrolling mines. Go into and out of mine shafts. Like a side-scrolling part, like Link's Awakening? Is that what we're talking about?
That seems a lot.
No.
I say no.
That's a red.
Red. No side-scrolling parts.
We didn't make anything red so far. You can't do that. Corner one.
There's one red thing.
There is.
I don't think we marked this red, but we marked this red in our minds.
Its stack wasn't even red.
Let's keep moving. Bug-eyed, bent-over miners. Whoa, cool. Miners that have been underground so long, they're pale with giant eyes, could toss pickaxes you. And here's a cool link.
So specific.
What the hell is this?
The best.
Oh
charge
yeah,
stop.
you know, I read this book by George Orwell called The Road to Wigan Pier, and it was like about miners in the early 1900s and the horrific conditions under which they worked. I must have written these a while ago when I read that book last year, but yeah, like you could see that's some real stuff that would happen.
Terrifying.
The tunnels were like a mile long and they were only a couple of feet tall because you can't dig a whole full height tunnel, so people would have to crawl like on their hands and knees, and like from having doing this day in day out, they would have this hunched over, messed up posture.
That sounds great.
This seems like great concept art for the miners that we. Sounds like we're gonna have.
Yes.
Vent children. We're in the Sean block now.
Definitely.
Tiny people scramble out of little holes in the walls. They could try and take your stuff and run off with it.
We already did this. No.
Right. Yeah, they could also be like if there's a floor and there's a ceiling, or if there's a second floor, you know, like the blue part in the screen that you have right now, they could be like up there, like on the top. You know what I'm saying? In a part that you couldn't access, and like jump down and grab something also.
And then what? They're just like up here. They like hop down.
Yes, like they would hop down.
They're ledge jumpers.
Can you preemptively attack them at all?
Well, you couldn't if they were up there. Just like a bird, just like those birds that are up there, right?
What if you threw an axe?
You could hit it.
Then you would be able to. Yeah, you could hit them. But yeah, I was imagining maybe they would come out of a hole also, like a gross, the organic hole.
I like the idea of having enemies that are up on ledges and do a little ledge jump. Coming out of holes.
A black cloud of their black coal, black lungs.
I don't know about running off with your stuff. That seems weird.
Specifically your bone stone for sure.
It would be cool to have an enemy that's just like jumping around that's not aimed at you. You know, like a frog.
Flea man.
A flea man.
Like a flea man.
Don't we have guys like that? Or do they turn into other enemies when we implement them?
I don't know. We have very few things that don't aim at you.
This seems like a cool thematic idea, and I bet we could fit this into a slot that we have. I'm not sure which one it is yet, but some minor enemy hopping around. That sounds cool.
Child labor was definitely a common Victorian theme. So having vent children is consistent.
Can we have child labor?
Are
we gonna get ESRB?
Child labor?
As long as they're called vent children, I'm on board.
Because they come out the
Okay.
Alright.
Shock sniper. A sniper-style shock trooper. When in range, it charges up a big lasery attack that attacks in a line. Hit him to knock him back. When he gets hit, he goes far, somersaults, and recovers and flips back onto his feet. Sandy, do you just want to animate all that? Did you write this?
I did not write this, but I am on board with more trooper types. I think we should have more types.
I don't know if this is Beach. This sounds to me more like Frozen Zone.
It could be they pop up
I think
throughout the overworld, kind of.
Yeah.
I think
they're
I wrote
everywhere.
this because we needed another shock trooper. So this could be like a generic thing, not specifically for
Yeah.
Beach,
Yeah.
right?
I think.
Yeah.
We already have melee ones. We need ranged ones.
I don't know if that's... We might have like too much work in all of this when the dust is settled, but if we can take it on, I think it would make sense to start, a second shock trooper. That makes sense to me. Chat, for those who do not know, so we have one enemy called a shock trooper. They're like this, and they're like sort of generic little nice soldier guys that you're going to be fighting throughout the game wherever we need to place them. They're
not monkeys.
They're not monkeys.
Not monkeys.
Not monkeys.
They look like this. They roll around. We're trying to get a little bit of like, fighting a Dark Souls-y NPC type character that like has their own weapons and does a quick little dodge roll and stuff. So a shock sniper makes sense to me. Hopper, enemy that hops a lot. When then they jump and you can't hit them on ground. When they're in the air, you can hit them with your jump attack. So a flea man that jumps around. We already talked about this.
I wrote this mainly to have like that high-low gameplay, but I actually don't think it works with something that hops. So I would recommend.
I think the hopping might work if it hopped in a way that looked very unique, or if it changed color as it was hopping, or something like that. So there was another kind of clue.
That it's
like if
that
it
you need to
was
jump to hit it. You mean?
Like if it was a closed umbrella and then it like jumped up and then it became like an open umbrella and like floated down, or like something like that, right? So you could like see where the height of it was.
You can see what.
Then I think this idea could maybe work a little bit better. But I really like the idea of an enemy that just bounces up and down like a ball, and sometimes you can hit it and sometimes you can't because it's in the air. That seems like a good. I think
that's what I was trying to do. But then when I thought about it, I was like, oh wait, everything jumps.
Yeah, we have a lot of jumpy things, and currently you can hit them all from the ground. So
yeah,
a bigger
so I'm not sure how it.
Context shift art-wise could help solve the two states.
In Zelda, this is P-Hat, right?
Yeah.
When he's flying, you can't hit him because he's too high up, and then when he lands on the ground, you could hit him.
But P-Hat sucks because you can't tell any of that.
P-Hat sucks.
So this would be a version where it's clear. This seems like we could work it into something else. I'm feeling like we need a flea man in here, so we'll try to make that happen. Boss creature moving platforms, just big pieces of art with interesting shapes, like the fin of the monster moving. This is.
I mentioned this earlier, and I just wrote it down. So if we had some big art pieces for the whale or whatever, we could incorporate them into some more interesting shaped moving platforms.
Do you think this is and it also has different logic? It slides or shakes or something, or is this just straight up?
I mean, if it did, I think we would just add it to our moving platform suite, and stuff. So I think it's not really a new thing. It's more
just an idea.
Hey,
this is a good idea.
We should think about that when doing it.
Yes, totally. I don't want to green it though, because it's not a new feature. Good thought.
Well, it's we'd have to make art for it,
Yeah. Okay. Think about during level, is what that is.
Yeah.
Hook.
It's like when we're making the platforms.
Yeah. If it could be a part of the boss, that would be cooler. Yes. Hooks on splines. Jump into a hook. It can carry you places. Jump to release. You could whip in directions while on it.
It's just rails.
Everyone was sort of talking about this like a mine, so I don't even really like this much, but I just wrote it down. But basically, think of a hook that grabs you or not. And you could go on a little ride around.
How about when you whip the hook, it whips you into it as it's passing by, it pulls you into it.
How does that work with alternate weapons? Yeah, how does that work with daggers, right?
Whoa.
It doesn't have to work with the other weapons.
In any case,
are you sure about that? I thought you switched out your main weapon for a dagger and you couldn't use whip anymore.
I'm just saying it could just be it doesn't have to be a required.
Right. An added bonus of having the whip is that you could latch onto hooks instead of having to walk all the way over to it. It could be like that.
Kind of lame. That's backtracking.
We could have the hooks challenge room.
How is that backtracking?
Use your fishing pole.
I'm saying if you want to go back and do what the hook, because I assume the hook is going to carry you off to some special place, and it means that you basically have to go and equip the hook and then come back.
That is not true.
The whip and come back.
We're only saying if you happened to have the whip, you could whip at it in order to latch to it. Otherwise, you could simply jump onto it like normal.
Sure have a lot of traversal.
In any case, this sounds like it wouldn't work because what's Sandy gonna do? Make a bunch of attack animations for every single thing for while you're flying on a hook? That sounds bad.
Nope.
You could not attack on the hook for sure.
Yeah.
I thought what I wrote was I thought it would be like your grounded attack that you could do on a hook without moving, basically.
It sounds related to rails, honestly.
You could be hanging on it like Shantae. There could be a bunch of hooks.
It's like Shantae.
You jump onto it. You're hanging there with an animation of you holding over it with your head. You can't do anything else, and then you could just jump in any direction to jump off of it. It's those Shantae hooks.
Hanging
right,
hook.
Shantae hooks. Yellow.
Shantae did not invent them, but yes, they're also.
And we didn't invent Birder either.
I know. I'm just saying. I just want to make clear it's not as specific to Shantae.
Invented by Shantae.
Be cool if these.
I feel like it should be either this or Rails. Like, the two seem very similar to me.
I agree with you.
I would definitely agree. I would not put them both.
This could be in another area also if we like it.
Yeah, it could be in the frozen train yard
I
factory.
think this is like a butcher's hook, and we put it in a different area. It's somewhere more industrial.
Okay.
But I like that
Hey,
idea.
guys. I wanted to pop in about time. It's 2:45 right now, and we have a bunch of viewer suggestions and ideas as well to go through. So would we want to finish this doc and then go a little over, or
let's
we should just go longer.
Let's finish all these and then let's look at all the chat stuff, and then we'll call the meeting.
Guess a surprise! We're gonna take longer than we thought we were going to.
Weird. Classic yacht club. Okay, moving right along. Door leads to different places. Like the creature's moving, so the doors move around. This is that moving cave. Did two people have the same idea? That means we gotta do it. It must be really good.
Sandy wrote that, and I wrote something different because I didn't understand what he was saying. I think, or maybe I did, so I wrote this. But yeah, the idea of like you see a creature that's moving, and I go into the door, and depending on what the creature's doing, it results in different rooms I go to.
So you're saying it moves and like potentially drops you off at different places?
Like I walk in the door and I enter the stomach instead of like walking and entering the shoulder.
Oh, okay, so the entrance stays the same, but the creature moves.
Right.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
So it's like enter at the right time of day kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, not enough information to green at this time, but we'll think about it when we're thinking about level structure. Crazy Miner.
Wait, sorry, not to cut you off. The next two are NPC ideas, not enemy or object. I just put them in here earlier because I wasn't sure if we were like combining everything.
Do you want to skip them or do you want to go through it?
No, skip them. We don't have time.
Alright, bone catchers, opposite of metal detectors. Peruse under the ground and then snatch up bones and then pull them back down, but also snatches you. Could birder around the arena. So automatic metal detecting robot that snatches stuff up, and including you.
Yeah, I was just thinking something that could like go under. Basically, it'd be like going under the ground and popping out every once in a while, like a big spike.
A big spike, and it's going underground every once in a while. I have a hard time visualizing this.
I'm not visualizing this at all. Next.
Anything more to...
Well, I don't know. Imagine there's a worm and it comes out straight vertically. Say.
Okay.
That's it. And then it just, it's going under the ground. And you're like, I gotta watch out for that when that thing's gonna pop out.
So it's just a retracting spike?
Sure. I don't care about the theming, but
no, I just mean like it's similar to the spikes we have in the crypt, right? That just come out not up and down on a timer.
But it grabs bones. It like goes underneath things and grabs them, right?
Oh, does it move?
yes, it moves.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It pursues you under the ground, and then it comes up, grabs bones or you.
Okay.
If it grabs a bone, then can you get the bone back? Yes, right.
Maybe when you kill it, you get all.
Yeah.
Grab enemies too?
Is it an enemy or an object?
This is the kind of thing that's like a...
it's an enemy, I was thinking.
Okay.
This is the kind of thing that's like a like, you walk into this room and this is the thing you want to keep alive, so kind of like weed out the other enemies that are around.
I wasn't thinking of it like that. No. I was thinking of it like, there's just, I see a shadow moving along, on the ground, and I'm like trying to make sure I'm not in the same area as it when it goes up.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking of it like, it could kill some enemies for me.
Maybe it could do like a burst effect or something. It's like when it emerges, it makes a 3x3 tile area that you want to avoid, so it is encroaching on that space more.
I want to do more enemies that have like attack patterns, AoEs, like lines instead of just, projectiles.
Yeah, specific patterns are always very fun. Why don't we go to the next one? I'm not sure this fits or not yet.
Yeah.
Gas vent. decomposing
me.
creature releases gas. Maybe the vent spits you really high from one floor to another, one way only. Maybe it launches you over enemies or walls.
So, checkpoint geyser kind of thing.
Kind of, but just like internally, it could be internally in a room, or
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have an idea beyond gas vent.
Yeah, I think that functionality is already covered by these like pipe holes, right? What is there anything?
Pipes and rails, yeah.
Is there anything different about it than doing this?
Yeah, probably not. I guess just like theme different.
What about damaging gas? What if it's like a tile that's spraying out? That's like a classic video gamey thing, right? It's like hot steam or gas that you can't touch. You gotta wait for it to stop spraying.
Yeah, the poison.
Yeah.
That sounds like a different idea. You could write it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Let's go to Bonestone Dot. A 1 pixel dot of dust that gives you 1 bonestone when you pick it up. What?
Love
Yeah, I love
Wait.
it. That'd be awesome. And so we could put like a lot of them there. Maybe we could even, in level design, we could make a cluster. It's like you want to make a cluster of like 12 or whatever, and it just goes into that tile. And so we could just put bonestone dust like everywhere, and when you get it, you get 1 bonestone. Wouldn't that be fun?
What's a
That's
cluster
amazing.
of 12?
I mean, I'm just saying, imagine a 16 by 16 pixel, and then imagine 12 random pixels of that are yellow, and those are bonestone dots.
Ooh, oh,
So
wait, that must be
when
like
she
so,
collects a bone stone now,
Here's what happens.
there's a call out. There's a pop. Is she gonna have 12 little pop-ups?
No.
If she holds a single pixel up in the
No.
air?
No. It could also just be 1 bone. I just wanted to have 1 dot. It would be funny.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
We have
that's very
1 bone
beached.
pickup. I feel like maybe we should just actually use that very liberally in this area. What, isn't that?
Oh, it's gotta
Isn't
be
that the
like
same fun?
a big. No, it's got to be like a mess of dust all on 1 tile. Like it's got to be like a
Wait.
mess of unorganized mess of dust.
But it's also like because we're at the beach. It's like a lot of time when you go to the beach, there's like fool's gold on the ground, right? That's what it's called. Like it's really sparkly at the beach. So this like it sounds like a beach thing too. Like if we just had like a bunch of little sparkles on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that fits.
when you're mining, when you're panning for gold, that's a dot a bone.
Is it important that it's bonestone as opposed to bones?
No.
I think it's just because it's bonestone dust. Would
You
be
could
the-
also go to the miner, and he's like, "Oh, you collected 5 zillion bonestone dust. Here, let me give it to you." Like just over. If it could be a questy thing as well.
This is like
Gotta clean up the beach. Like
this is a
sunshine.
gold panning thematic idea. Not really much
Yeah.
of a gameplay thing, but maybe it'd be fun.
I like it.
Dude, what are we gonna
It's
do?
like-
Place a bunch of 1 pixels everywhere? That's gonna be mad.
I told you already. I already said that. I said in level design we would say 12 on the tile, and it would randomly allocate 12 pixels. Yep.
Sean's got it covered, Alec.
Maybe if we need,
You have to burrow through it to pick them up, or do you just walk over it?
I'll make it yellow.
Just walk
the
over it.
bonestone
Over,
color.
yeah.
And is there a separate counter that you would see go up when you get these?
It could flip your bone counter to be a bonestone counter temporarily, and then you see it
Yeah.
increment, and then it flips back.
What's the value of the smallest bone denomination?
1?
Okay.
That little tooth that we have is like 1
Yeah.
bone. This would be a single yellow pixel indicating 1 bone.
Yeah.
It could be a tenth of a bone also, and you go to the miner. Anyway,
Yeah.
get bonestone dots.
Dots.
I love it.
Well, technically it would be like bonestone dust, right? Because it's all dust.
Yes.
Dippin' dots.
I'm not entirely sold,
That's
but I
fine.
could be convinced.
Shipwreck seaweed.
Shipwreck seaweed. Would be cool to find items that wash up from shipwrecks or in some plain old seaweed. There could be a chance enemy that's hiding in it, ghillie suit style, and attacks you.
Yeah, that's my idea. So I thought it'd be really cool to have that anxiety of like, is it an item or is it a mimic kind of thing? And maybe you could like hollow into the seaweed or shipwreck to get the item, like get the hollow through it, and then that's how you find out if it's a random battle. And we could have like a couple of them be enemies. A majority would be just finding items. So after you get that first enemy, it's like the should I try for it and see if it's an item, and having that like reward or not reward would be kind of fun.
I like that.
I like the washing up idea. Like every time you go to a screen that has some shore, there could be something washed up that you like break and see what's inside.
You could have essentially a moving chest, right? A chest that's going into and out of the water. And if you open it at the wrong time, then it goes into the pit.
So this is like a breakable that we put on a spline, and it looks like seaweed.
Yeah. I mean, it could have it. Or yeah, I guess it could be like a ball of seaweed, or it could be like a crate with seaweed on it or something.
That sounds cute. We could have
I like
a little
that.
crate going.
Yeah, I like it.
Bringing it up.
Implying that ships are getting wrecked when they get near the shores, which I think would make sense in general as well.
Very fun idea.
There could be a chance. Crate covered in seaweed can move on a spline in out of water. That's maybe this is like our second breakable. Sometimes we have like 2 in a level. 45 degree guy, 45 degree enemy like a birder that bounces around. I put this just at the bottom earlier in the meeting, so we'll green it and put it under generic. Giant scab. Burrow under all the scab tiles with 1 burrow. If you don't, they heal quickly. When you do, the whole scab falls off in 1 big piece.
Gross.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Did that description work? It's like it would be a scab that was. Yeah, it's like, okay, there's up to 6 tiles that are in any configuration that we want, or 8 tiles, 10 tiles, and you have to burrow underneath all. When you do, then it all falls off and reveals
what?
After a second, they reform back to their original.
Right.
That sounds cool.
They're a damaging tile, I imagine. They're like a collision tile that you can go under.
Maybe. Yeah.
This there was idea. Wasn't there an idea that was like egg sac stuff?
That was in another area. That was way.
I think I didn't paste that in, but like.
Well, I mean, there's also undersack.
Not that. The idea of having something like gross kind of all around you that could like hatch that like fear.
Yeah.
I think might make sense here. Either this or that seems like it might be appropriate.
Yeah, like forcing your attacks to be more deliberate and careful, so you don't break open egg sacs and like make it worse for yourself in there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
We did it. That was the last one, right?
Now let's take suggestions.
Yeah. Look at all these cool things.
You got 30 minutes.
Just to finish this conversation, yeah, I think one of those would make sense for like a object. We have some like platforming stuff, but we don't have like a collision-y or a blocky kind of a thing. Really. Okay, cool.
So Alec, I collected some suggestions as everyone was talking through the whole stream, but also we could scroll through chat if you'd like and look at Discord, but I did collect some for you.
Sure.
The doc.
Let's pop that sucker open. Whoa, look at all this stuff.
Can you link us?
Oh yeah, it's linked in Slack, but I'll link.
Got all these.
There you go.
Hey Alec, can you minimize the if you press that arrow on the left, it'll minimize the table of contents too.
Whoa, cool.
In the Google Doc.
Okay. Yeah. Stream suggestions and concepts. Seagull skeletons looking very creepy. This would be a fun thematic concept. I like it when you see skeletons of creatures that aren't humans, because they always look so freaky and weird.
Yeah, I love swan skeletons. Just Google swan skeleton, it's the greatest.
Yeah, the stream posted that during David's suggestion about having like a bird enemy.
Dude.
So I thought that was really cool.
Jasper, you're totally right. This is
Oh my goodness.
amazing.
It's the best. Anyway.
Flora idea. Cactus skeletons. Whoa.
What?
This is the Bone Beach after all. Is this like a real thing? Like a cactus skeleton is like a thing?
Like a dead cactus?
I don't know. Oops. I don't know.
Does it shoot projectiles at you?
I mean, it could if you wanted to.
Dead.
Is that what these things are in Zelda?
Those are in Zelda.
Aren't they? I always thought they were just like insect hives or like honeycombs or something. Y'all were talking about an enemy that throws bones and brought up plants. I immediately thought of flesh-eating plant that spits up the bones of its victims. It has a big goofy smile, but it's actually a half-swallowed skull that it spits it out at you.
That's cool.
That's great.
I love that it looks like it's its face.
That'd be cool.
But
It'd have to be like just a flaming
Skull.
skull or something, so you don't want to pick it up.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool to like add in, I don't know, like locally that they're like, oh, villagers are missing, it's weird, and then you have this enemy. And it's like, oh, that's where they went.
Definitely.
Right. There's an enemy in Link to the Past that just looks like a bush or a rock that uses it as cover. Yeah, it like lifts up and you see the rock above it. Taking its cover away makes it run around, throwing rupees at you. That'd be cute. A lot of these ideas that we're talking about today are focused on like bones as like currency, which is interesting. I like the idea of this zone being one where like you're like, oh man, I need bones, I should like go there, but it's like really dangerous. Oh jeez. That sounds fun. Here's a fodder enemy idea. Undead paladin. Whoa, look at that cool portrait you made.
It's a GIF.
Yeah.
What? Why isn't it animating?
Yeah, gotta link the GIF. Let me find it again.
Periodically grants a shield to all enemies on screen. Whoa. In Crypt, we were kind of doing stuff like that with the Necromancer. It's like one enemy that's affecting the other ones that you're fighting.
Support enemies are cool.
Yeah.
That
Support
portrait's
enemies.
really cool.
Thinking about support enemies. That seems like it would be appropriate, maybe.
Yeah, Necromancer really changes the feel of the screen in Crypt whenever they're there.
Yeah. I'm gonna add a thing at the bottom of this. It's just like support enemy question mark is something to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
What about a dry bones like enemy? When you hit them a few times, they fall into a pile, and there's a heart that you gotta hit before it comes back. If you're too late to kill it and you make a bunch fall, the piles will combine to make it bigger and harder to fall. So kill it fast, but don't make them fall next to each other. Yeah. These are always tricky because like the way that the player wants to deal with this and the way that the designer wants to like make it interesting are at odds with one another. If like a player is playing this game successfully, then they're not going to see the behavior that is like the cool part of it, right? So I maybe would want to mess with that element of it. But a dry bones enemy, that would certainly make sense in the Bone Beach. Mineral 115. Why not take some inspiration from the like? She doesn't hold a shield. How about the parasite grabs a weapon or an item from you? Then what? How do I get it back? Then what happens? You
gotta reanimate Mina to have a punch all of the frames.
The secret sixth weapon. Yeah.
It's one of the tough things about making a 2D game, right? Is if you want to change the character even slightly, then that's not really possible. You have to reanimate the whole dang thing.
Yeah, she's got to have a punch. Her punch has got to work even if you're in a different palette because you got a different costume. When she punches, you got to be able to punch in every direction. Can you punch in the air? You need frames for that, etc., etc., etc.
What if you don't get your weapon back? How do you get it back?
Right, exactly.
It just grows back.
It grows back.
Well, to be fair, the monster could just take your sub-weapon.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You could steal your sub-weapon whenever.
Genius.
Yeah, that sounds
That
cool.
actually is good, yeah.
I'm putting that in the dog's sub-weapon taker.
Wow.
That could be cool. Enzo the Omega. Maybe an earthquake move that harms you if you're underground. Yeah, one of these ideas up there, we said we would do that, right? Sand spike wave. I feel like this is like we should really commit to doing something like this. Big old sand spikes or something that shoot up out of the ground. Kind of like that other game that we're making. Berry Muffins. I love that name. Discord.
You skipped one,
Oh,
Alec. Yeah, Paper Shovel Knight.
Oh, we already did that one, I thought.
No, you're right, I did skip it, my bad. What about a room filled with bones that you can get, but there's a little enemy. If it grabs the bones, each bone makes it get bigger and stronger. To get the bones back, you gotta defeat it, so don't let it grab any, or else it'll become a big, scary monster.
A bone eater?
Bone sucker upper.
Bone eater.
Yeah. Actually, that's really clever. Like,
It's hard to
it
do
turns-
2D, but yeah, it's like
Yeah.
You gotta draw 3 enemies basically. Tiny one, medium one,
Yeah.
and the big ol' one.
If it's like a little maggot that just like inches around, it's got like no animation, and then the final form, it's got like a big giant, legs and stuff.
Or it could be that all the bones like are circle around it like a shield, Like this is not as cool, but it could suck up bones around it and like spin them around like a shield, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That'd be neat.
I
Yeah.
like that. That's cool. I'm gonna put
I
that
love
down
the
here.
idea of like bones being on screen being potentially dangerous.
They would have to be like colored red or something, like they're being.
There'd be like a magic outline like around it
when
as
you
it's spinning
whip the
around.
guy, after
Yeah.
you whip them and kill them, then the bones would all turn from red to being back to normal or something. Or maybe they would go from red to being normal when he's not doing his attack, and then you could go just collect them because they're just regular bones. And then he spins them back up again and throws them at you. I guess it could be just a mage that picks up bones and hooks them at you. I don't know, something around this idea. It seems neat. For something.
Seems neat for this
Definitely.
level if we're gonna have a lot of bone pickups too. And I like the idea of like mixing the gameplay a little bit, so it's like a resource that you want, but also like a potential hazard if the enemy can take advantage of it. As such, they get added as a big Mega Man leaf shield that spins around.
Great idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
Paper Shovel Knight.
Maybe the whale bone could get stuck after an attack. Then you can jump on it and whale rail ride into the creature. The only way to damage it or do a critical hit. So you see a whale bone rail thing, and it slides forward, and then it stabs a guy, and then you get a big old crit. I feel like it'd be hard to do given the small screen. This seems like a boss thing, or like a something you could like do in the boss fight for like free damage, maybe. Not sure. Whalebone projectile. Kandarihu. I like the idea of a parasite screwing with the dialogue, as long as you're prevented from having novel dialogue within that state. Yeah, I think that could be neat. I don't know if it could work its way into this level, but I like the idea of having that earthbound mushroom on your head or whatever, and it's like messing with your brain.
Are we still going to do the pause menu portrait thing text?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Wait, what? Remind me of that?
Here, check it out. When you open, what if you could select Mina's face from the pause menu right here, and you could click on it, and she would say something.
Right.
What would she say? What would she say? I'm hungry.
There are a lot of dead people around here.
Well, if she has a bunch of parasites in her brain, then she'd say something unintelligible.
Right.
Yeah.
Must.
Maybe her portrait gets all more messed up. Like she gets.
That's
like,
cool.
She just looks like dumb. She's like duh.
Yeah. Her eyes
We
diverge.
should write as many lines that there are in Bastion. So there's literally one line for everything. But no one will ever interact with it.
Yeah.
If we hire a writer, then we could totally
just
do
give them
that
that.
feature. If there's an enemy that steals a permanent resource, then killing it ought to yield an abnormally large amount of that resource in addition to whatever it stole from you in the first place. Yeah, enemies already, they generally drop some bones when you kill them. So, a lot of these ideas that are kind of, it could, suck up the bones or, use them for something else. We already have, a built-in way to try and, get you back to where you were by going and defeating them. I think that would work somewhat elegantly. Aquest says, what if you get your bones back if you defeat the parasite before it runs away? How many do we got? Okay. That sounds fun. Yeah, this parasite idea is a little nebulous to me, though. I wonder what it would actually be, or actually look like, or what the moment-to-moment gameplay with it would be. Poiosphere, large sleeping skeletal enemies used as basically mimics for the bone piles. Yeah, these this seaweed stuff that we've got on the shores of the beach. I'm wondering if there's mimic opportunities with those right there. Sleeping skeletal enemies. Yeah, that could be cool. Seems like we wanted a mimic of some sort maybe in this kind of an area. I'm gonna get some water. Someone wanna do the next one?
Control your mouse. Where are you?
I'm on Jamage Arts. Could there be an enemy or something that would have compacted remains?
Bone blocks. What's a bone block?
Bone blocks are
talking-
things where you hit them, they spill out bones again.
Yeah, it's like collision block that you gotta break and then you get bones out of it.
It's the idea here that you'd have like an enemy that, like, after you kill it, it turns to a bone block, basically.
Yeah.
Or like
Enemy that
some.
leaves behind a collision block.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is
An interesting idea.
I think this is also getting at like what were we saying up here with like sand spike wave, or like one of these ideas, right? Was like it could like separate the arena by like creating like big scary damage lines.
Should there be like machine or like equipment in the mine facility that condense the loose bones into bone blocks, and then if an enemy runs into it, it turns into a bone block?
And then it pops out and goes on the conveyor belt down towards you.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a way to mix some of these gameplay ideas together.
Area is going to be like Marble Madness, things sliding everywhere and jumping all over.
An enemy that if you burrow and move across the ground it's standing on, it'll sink down to its waist and will spend a bit of time digging itself out. So you like burrow underneath it, and then essentially it is immobile for a period of time, enabling you to attack it. Yeah, stuff like stuff like this. We always think, how could it be like fun once they are immobile? Any time it's an idea that's like, what if you could like stun the enemy? The next question is like, okay, why is it fun to fight them when they're stunned, right? If the answer is they're just sitting there, then it's like, well, I'm just gonna mash the button and like that's that then, right? They gotta like stunning someone is like almost kind of counterintuitive. You might want the encounter to be like more engaging or like more dangerous once you've like done the first half of the fight. So maybe it's like stun, but also it like starts spitting stuff at you or whatever, right? Just so it's like not completely getting rid of the encounter before the enemy's done. Monster that has bones poking out of its body. Yeah, I think
we'll have this covered. Don't worry, somewhere.
I'm just gonna paste this under every bug that goes to Morgan for illustration. Maybe you could have bones poking out of it also, by the way. Have indicators to tell what level you're on. I would hope that like the environment art can do this very naturally. You're like, oh, I've entered into the foot of this giant monster, and like now I am exiting via the nostril. I think we should like lean into trying to make whatever this like dungeon is, whatever this giant monster is that you're going into and out of, you should like understand its anatomy, and you should be able to like use that to know where you are roughly. I'm in the stomach. If I go north, I must get to the head, and that's where the boss is. That kind of thing I think would be cool and like natural to the player. Okay, that just gave me an idea. What if the quicksand itself was alive? What does that mean? it grows into a big shape and fights you sometimes.
Sentient, tells you its feelings.
Whoa. Hello, Mina. I am the sand. I am all around you. It would be fun if you were walking and then you could talk to sand. Like there's just a dialogue prompt just randomly out in the open. Maybe the enemy can be like a train, and Mina must take down the conductor in the brain. Whoa, maybe the boss like is a parasite, and it's like all up in this giant monster's brain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
And then you kill them, and they say, "Thank you, Mina. I can now speak very eloquently because my brain parasite is gone." Anyways, I'm dying. It's for idea 3, instead of quicksand, how about oil pits? Can save the same purpose, would work more thematically, and can be set on fire. That's such a good idea that we've already done it. In the bayou, the water is like flammable, and we have like projectiles that enemies are like throwing on it that like catch it all on fire. And this is a beach, so I think sand makes sense. Could even hide monsters in the oil pits, like the ones from Dark Souls 2. Dude, I don't remember that game at all. I would love to see. I would love to see what that monster looks like.
It's a bad rap.
The combination of bones as the XP/currency and skeletal enemies makes you imagine an area themed around a more elaborate tomb or something, and the wealth buried alongside the deceased kind. You could have enemies that steal some bones from you when they hit you, along with suspicious quantities of bones you can't spend immediately for some reason, and a boss that would do something with the amount of bones you've basically stolen to punish your greed, a la Bloodstain's Valifar. Whoa, that's very high concept. Do you guys think we should like have stuff like that in these levels? That's like some like mysterious Dark Soul mechanic type of thing, where you like don't understand your world tendencies like affecting it.
This is like definitely the kind of stuff I love, though. Like,
Yeah.
I love the idea of once you reach a certain amount of bones collected, like you're hoarding them, right? You're not spending them, so you reach some high number, and then an NPC is activated to like chase you down wherever you are in the world because you're greedy.
Oh lord.
The Bone Lord.
The Bone Lord chases you if you have more than X amount on you at any time.
That's such a good idea. Come on.
That could be fun. Yeah, maybe that's like a game-wide thing for extra.
Right.
Bit of
It's got to be
space.
game-wide.
What Mario game was it where you had to guess the right? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Celia.
Oh, so for context for this one, it was when we were talking about going into the quicksand,
Right.
like how we would do that, and then it was his suggestion was basically being like, oh well, if there's like 3 pits, one of them could be the right one to go through, and you would go actually in there.
Yeah, that's what we were saying is lame though. I don't like guessing where I should go and then going in there and being like, ugh, and then retrying. Be fun if there was something
To
more
answer your
to
question, what Mario game is it? You have to guess the right door. That's Mario Maker.
Thank you, Chester. Our resident Mario. Potentially have a castle-like area inside the monster, like make the entryway a mouth with bones surrounding the monster. Yeah, some of these concepts that Morgan was doing, like this one at the bottom, there's like a big lighthouse growing out of it. I guess that begs the question, how industrialized
Isn't that
is...
the thing? The tower? What are they called?
Oh,
Spark tower?
the big
Generator?
generator at the top?
It's meant to be
Whatever,
the
yeah.
Spark Tower.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
But fell on it.
I was thinking maybe if it was like a bird, it could be that it like ran into it and got zapped.
Or they built the tower on the
They
wrong
built the tower, yeah,
Harness
like-
the tower of its rot.
Oh, damn, that's cooler.
Rot power.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring, yeah.
Or just like compost.
The power of compost. It's a big recycling PSA.
You know, it would maybe make sense if it was like built into this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it would.
I don't know like a better place where you'd put it in the level.
I mean, it could have easily been that the generator was there, and when the creature washed up, it like got impaled.
Right.
I like the
Well,
idea of them just
okay.
building the generator on top of the
Yeah,
rotting
that's
corpse. It
really
was already there as mining infrastructure. Why not?
Yeah, I just don't care.
Fair enough.
You're right.
I think. Well, the issue in my mind with that too is if the creature is being kept alive by the generators mining, then it being built on top seems a little counter to that idea.
Yeah, we revived it a little bit. We can move on.
What about a variant of Gooper made of sand? What would it do? Maybe.
It goes in and out of the ground.
Yeah, maybe it like you get close and then
It
it
would be
just
cool if
collapses.
you could just pallet shift. If you could just pallet shift that thing and make it look like it was made out of something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got red Gooper in there now, right? What if its teeth were carved to look like columns to make it look more like a temple or dungeon? Yes, Andy, be thinking about that.
Oh yeah.
I have an idea. Maybe some sort of hand. Actually, this isn't just exclusive to this level. Maybe a hand that will drag you down if you walk over it and chase you as well, like a wall master.
Yeah, it could be a sand hand. I really liked other suggestion, and I wanted to say that.
A sand hand. Yeah. Well, when it drags you down, then what? Does it like take you as if you fell into a death pit and you respawn at the beginning of the room? Does it suck you into some other room and now you're like in jail and you're like, oh man, I hate when I get sucked back to the jail and I gotta go all the way back? Is it like you just die? It could be you just die instantly. What about that? How about an enemy that's a cultist? How about it? We got that necromancer in the crypt. I like playing with like having enemies that are not only physically transformed by the dangerous environment, but mentally transformed as well. That can be fun.
Yeah, the idea of a cultist that like worship the carcass is cool.
Totally.
Oh yeah,
dude. Every Dark Souls that I play, every single time, they always have a bunch of areas where there's a bunch of weirdos like praying, and then I kill them for XP, and then I'm like, man, what am I doing? Am I the monster?
The answer's yes.
Some chests can have bones, but some chests are monsters, and they'll come out of the ground showing a monster with a chest for a head and a praying mantis body. It will shoot treasure from its mouth, hit you with its bug arms, and have a long tongue that will try to grab you. Hit the tongue 3 times to kill it, and get treasure from the dead monster's chest head. Whoa, this is a very complex enemy. Maybe a praying mantis mini-boss would be neat. I like the idea of having a long tongue that grabs you. We need more stuff that eats you in this game. A giant mouse trap with a super obvious bone/cheese or something on it. Mina wouldn't fall for that in 1 second. She'd be like, yeah, okay, who did this? Very funny. What?
No, dude,
just because I'm a mouse?
Maybe she would.
Who put
I
this?
knew you were going to say that, John.
Come on, she's like...
It'd be funny if the mousetrap was a mousetrap, like, it was inside a bigger mousetrap or something, you know? Like, it's like, I'm not falling for that, and then she's like, because she's not falling for it, she falls for it.
Right.
I don't think you could
like,
have...
It just looks so good. Like, I don't know, I just get stupid. When I see cheese, I just go after it.
I don't think you could have like a mouse trap itself, though, right?
No.
That's like something that was invented by humans to catch like small
murder mice, yes.
small rodents. That wouldn't exist in this world. It would just be like some really nice cheese like on a plate with like some silverware if you wanted to trap Mina.
Everybody just keeps saying mimic in different ways.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what Lionel does. It's
Right.
like he wants a big plate of cheese.
A mimic cheese plate.
Right. Dude, look at
like
this.
Mina would start salivating and like sleepwalking toward it, and you would have to like fight against the controls to stop her. You're like, no, stop.
There's a parasite in the cheese.
Then it's inside you. Patty Gibbet. I can tell you're playing Elden Ring. Look at this sanctuary thing.
Oh, cool.
A chunk of the earth animated into a semblance of shambling life, powered by the soul of a creature trapped in the gibbet, which swings underneath it like an overgrown goiter. The device at the heart of the monstrosity seems to be a deliberately created object. Could someone make this? It has a stomp attack with a shockwave, near combat attack, lightning attack from the crown of the device for when you're at a distance, hit the legs, expose the gibbet, break it to release the prisoner, freeze the abomination in its track. This is like a whole ass mini boss design. But I raise you this question: what does this look like from top down? Because sure seems like I wouldn't be able to see Mina if she was under that thing or the thing that's underneath it, right? How could that work? What would it look like?
Yeah, some adjustments.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like shorter, and it could all like fit on one screen. And it was like clearly just like 2 layers next to each other.
A shorter goiter.
A shorter goiter. Maybe the top has to like be made of glass so you can just like see through it, you know? Maybe something like that would help.
We have something kind of like this in the autumn area with the lightning rods, you know, the lightning strike mechanic, sort of. Not the goiters or anything like that, but the idea of like trying to get to a location and being struck by lightning on the way.
Right. Okay, here's that gif that I was missing earlier. But yeah, someone that's like powering up all their buddies, and then like the enemies have got shields. I think something like this, another support enemy, might be fun somewhere else in the game, kind of like that necromancer. I could see this being cool. It's tricky though, because if it's like, oh, and then he'll flash, well, it's like, but hey, Bonehead like also needs to flash like for his own reasons, just for like gameplay clarity, right? Like, check this out. Before he like does an attack, right? Come on, he's like flashing blue already, so you got to be careful that all the stuff doesn't overlap. maybe it would have to be like some other like modular effect that's like swirling over him so that he can like still do his existing thing. Maybe it just makes a big bubble around him, right? And it's like its own bespoke piece of
sonic shield.
Yeah, sonic shield. This would be neat though. I think another support character would be fun to do. Okay, that's the end of this amazing document of stream suggestions. That sure was fun to go through. It's 3:25, and we have something to do at 3:30. So I think we got to wrap this up and say goodbye. But this was a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool.
Thanks for all the amazing suggestions, everybody.
It was so fun.
We actually got cool stuff out of it.
This is actually not too far from what it's really like when we're doing this.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I totally forgot we were streaming this for at least an hour straight.
Yeah, basically what our meetings are.
Yep.
But yeah, this was really cool. I feel like we got a lot of really great ideas now. What's gonna happen next off camera is we're gonna like start crafting all of this into like one set. There's like too many ideas here. Some will get pruned, some will get changed, and then we'll have a cool
combined into one bigger idea.
Yeah, totally.
Right. That'll be Alex's job to go and do that in the spreadsheet, and then we'll come back and have another discussion about it with like, hey, here's the set. Does this look good, and does it match everyone's expectations?
Yeah. A lot of that is starting to think like, okay, so we know we're doing the conveyor belt, we know that we're doing the whale rails, so like, are these enemies going to be fun mixed with like rails? Well, they make you go really fast, so it'd be appropriate if like, the projectiles could like track you or whatever, so that you could still
I
get
believe
it.
we're putting in rails.
Maybe. It's not in yet. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys so much. We'll be sure to do way more of these.
Thank you.
So look forward to it, and have a wonderful Friday.
And before you go,
Wait,
guys, before we go, a friendly reminder that if you want to support Mina the Hollower, our Pledge Box alternate backer option ends this Sunday. So if you want to jump on there, get an extra reward tier or anything of the sort, go do that. You can go check it out at minathehollower.com. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in.
The next streams will be something that's only available to backers.
Yes.
Right. So now's your chance.
So this is
Oh my gosh, you kidding me?
We'll make sure to like put them up on YouTube or something eventually, though.
Get your wallets out.
Yeah, future design streams like this are locked into the $75 or over tier.
The first taste was free.
Dude, I only threw $5 at our Kickstarter. Maybe I should.
I know. Me too. I don't have the full amount.
Sorry, Sean, you can't go.
Maybe I should upgrade. I want to be in the next meeting, guys. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us.
See you later. Alright, I hit stopped stream and